we doing coffee? Fuck, I should do that too.
Dr. Pepper.
Even better. Let's go.
Sipping my tea. All right. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We got the GOAT again, Chris Glade, part 2 of the best dog in the format. I don't care about Yoshi. Lick my butthole. We got K9 back. We're really going to peel the curtain back. And I'm going to shut the fuck up and let the GOAT talk. That's what
finally.
we're doing. Yes, that's what we needed. You know, kind of a definitive deck tech. Like, this is, like, Chris might do something later down the road, but this is, there's no way people watch 2 of these and go, what does the deck do, right?
What does the deck do? It's just an underworld breach deck. No, that's not all it is, right? It's gotta be more. No, guys, that's all it is. We're just gonna talk to you for about an hour and a half, 2 hours now.
Yeah. Did you want to say anything before we hopped in, or?
Yeah. So, hi, my name is Chris, aka Godzilla Big. You can pretty much find me on all the fun social media platforms as Godzilla Big, or on That's Not CDH on Mondays at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. That's Not CDH is a group where it's 4 of us, but 3 of us usually do more so the streaming aspect. The other fourth is kind of, does a little more of the back end stuff. But we play a lot of CDH. We get guests on. A lot of them tend to play more of like the meta decks, and we just play fringe decks to make it more inviting and everything of that nature. So that's pretty much always been our goal, and that like CDH is fun, not just from a tournament aspect, but from like a casual, hey, let's just take training wheels off and just go full speed ahead as best as we can with, let's say, your favorite commander, we do this stuff on Monday, and that's pretty much about it. I'm also the co-owner of Monolith TCG Events. We did Salt Fest, the 10K last year, and we've been kind of like trying to figure out like when the next one's going to be, if anything. But so stay tuned for that one.
Hell yeah, and I'm still waiting on my invite. Hell yeah.
You'll get there.
It's funny you say your guests play meta decks, bitch. If y'all invite me on that fucking shit, I'm gonna bring the craziest thing y'all never even dreamed of.
Yeah, it's funny enough is like we've invited like Kai, aka from an Alchemist. We've invited, we've even had like Matt from Wars Cards on. We've had Scylla and her partner Anna on, and Anna's more on the Fringer side, and Scylla's on the Fringer side because Scylla at the time was playing a lot of like Black Cauldron. That was like her thing. But like a lot of them, they play meta decks. We've had Blue Farm on the channel. We've had Rogsai. I've even played Rogsai just crazily enough. We've had my buddy Sean, aka Manila Midget, on playing his like deck he's more well known for, which is Dark Thrasios or Dog Water. And yeah, we just like my group, Dano and Misha, they came from a casual background for Commander. Dano has a little experience with like Vintage and Legacy, but like they love the idea of just like sleeving up fringe decks, trying to push them as far as they can, and then essentially throwing them at a table that's got at least 1 or 2 meta decks in it, and then just kind of like seeing what happens from there. So, and I kind of had to start turning War Dog into calling it closer to a meta deck, because now it's doing well.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
These last few months.
Now I approve. All right, let's hop in this bitch.
Yep.
Let's fucking bam. So I'll make this the background, and then I'll put us on the side. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, cool. Actually, you know what else I want to do? Well, I guess there's not. Never mind. I was going to compare it to other lists, but never mind.
I mean, you can.
I don't think there's other lists of K9 War Doctors.
So there are, and there's specifically 2 people that I'm aware of that have taken my list, duplicated it, and done like slightly varying things. So recently, one of the locals, Jesus, up at Fort Pierce, he was like, oh man, after watching your video that you did with Josh, I want to sleeve this deck up and play it. So he took out, I think, like 5 or 6 cards from my list, put in 5 or 6 cards, and then there's somebody else from when we were doing a huge like astroturfing meme thing in Facebook like 2 to 3 weeks ago, who took my list and made a Wrong Dog version, like in the similar vein of like Rongsai. So
Jesus
I haven't
Christ.
looked at that list. Yeah, I haven't looked at that list in like I think since the guy like posted about it. Um,
Yeah.
it looks interesting. I don't. I mean, it just looks like a more mid-range version of like what I was doing back in the day. And by back
Yeah.
in the day for me, that was like
A year
18
ago.
plus months ago.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but
so
yeah,
if you didn't watch part one, and if you're kind of in the dark, this is a Jeskai deck. It's kind of like Rogsai, but in Jeskai, we take out the Rog, put in the dog. K9 Mark 1 blue mana, pretty much turns on your opals, stuff like that. And then the War Doctor's a backup plan nowadays. It's just pretty much Turbo Breach. So
yeah,
everybody's caught up. We're all good to go.
yeah,
So I had about 5 people be like, hey, can you peel the curtain back on this deck? This is a crazy deck. And I'm like, all right,
yeah,
cool. Okay. Now I'm shutting the fuck up. Let's fucking go. All right. So dog sigh, right?
yep. That's pretty much
So
it.
what is like, why did you sleeve this deck up? What is like, what's the word I'm looking for?
What
Kind
was
of
the inspiration?
the origins of this deck, the inspiration, everything. Like day one, you saw this commander, you saw the commander pairing. Let's start from there. Why did you sleeve up K9?
So, all right, let's do a little bit of a peel back further to the War Doctor, especially because he's highlighted right now. So, when I first saw the War Doctor spoiled from like the Doctor Who Commander Universes Beyond thing that they were doing with it, um, I thought, wow, this would be pretty interesting, to kind of like build something off of because there at the time there was March of Swirling Mists. Everybody was using that to phase stuff out. People, if you don't realize it, like the biggest thing that drew everybody to the card specifically was like Cascade, and then later down the road with the latest Ixalan set was Discover. So you put those effects where essentially his ability triggers, giving him a time counter for every card that's revealed. What a lot of people didn't realize was Tainted Pact and Demonic Consultation actually pair well with him as well. So a lot of times opponents be like, "Oh, I'm gonna Demonic Consultation, uh, you know, 6 cards. Okay, cool. I'm gonna get a time count. And it's all delayed trigger too, by the way. So you have to outside the initial 6 for Demonic Consultation, you have to literally count every card that was revealed and exiled because he sees every single one. Tainted Pact is the same way. Every time you cast that spell and it resolves, every card is flipped, exiled. Well, you not flipped exile, but you exile the top face up, so that essentially would add a counter to him. And typically, players go stupid deep to find a lot of their stuff that they're looking for, whether it um, gets rid of other interaction or pieces or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I want to play with this. This seems like a lot of fun. I'm a huge Boros player, so I paired him with Ryan Sinclair, who is a mono red commander with Doctor's Companion. That says like every time he attacks, reveal the top card of your library until you reveal a non-land card. And the way it's worded is similar to Cascade. So he would see everything and give the War Doctor a ton of time counters, so I could just swing with him because his second paragraph is when he attacks, deal damage equal to the number of time counters to any target. Player, creature, planeswalker, whatever is a legal target, he can deal damage to it. And, if a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it. So essentially, you could do, let's say he has 1 time counter on him, you could ping for 1. Let's say it's let's say it's Timna, right? So you ping Timna for 1, and then hypothetically you cast like a lightning bolt or a shock or something that can ping Timna again just randomly. If it would die that turn, it gets exiled. So that ability kind of like stays in a sense. Same with like I played a Mardu version of this list for a very short period of time just because like I thought maybe we could do something with that, but it just ended up not working because Mardu doesn't have enough things for what I was trying to do with the deck, and not to mention like the only companions I could use were like Clara, who is choose a color when you have your deck identity being done, and Vizsla, who's like 4 mana. And at that point, you have to get rid of Deadly Relic, you have to get rid of Deflecting Swat because you're not playing anything small. So segue into Canine. Um, so I originally did Adric because there was I thought, oh well, we have Adric who is like a stifle in the command zone. How terrible could that be?
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert: it was absolutely atrocious. Played it for a week, never again.
Yeah.
Went to K9 mainly because it was like, well, K9 is cool because he's one mana. He's literally a blue Yoshimaru in this case, or a one mana Rograk. But the biggest
Yeah.
caveat is he's an artifact. He can synergize very well with a lot of things. Well, we're in red. This is also during the dockside meta, so we're all breach pilled, we're all dockside pilled, we're all like if you're there was no reason not to play red back then. Like you were essentially hurting yourself playing decks like kind of like not really Kinnan per se, because Kinnan played a massive amount of clones. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what Kinnan's doing nowadays because I don't really play that deck like much anymore, or against it rather much anymore. But like they were on so many clones that it was just like Kinnan was really good at what it did because being Sans Red because it just played so many clones. Like okay, I play Dockside, I try to push, it falls through. Kinnan's after me. Kinnan goes, I'm going to play this clone like Flesh Duplicate from Doctor Who because that was a common one you could pair it with.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to do like Displacer Kitten loops. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. And now we have our own Dockside and yada, yada, yada. And we call this critical mass of like treasures. So what prompted me to do K9 and the War Doctor as a Jeskai front was literally it's K9. At the time, I was comparing it to Rograk in the sense of like it's a one mana Rograk that also like in the original control list that I had or mid range list was leaning on the Doctor, so it was kind of a great blue companion or partner in this case, so that I could protect the War Doctor because I was doing like Thought Lash combos, and I was doing Day of the Doctor. Day of the Doctor is a very fun like red white saga. It's 5 mana, so it's a lot of mana, but we were also playing Dockside and Jewel Lotus Mana Crypt back in those days. So
Mm-hmm.
like that was kind of mitigated to virtually essentially like a 3 mana spell because we had access to Crypt. Um, but the idea of the original list was with Day of the Doctor, the first 2 or 3 chapters before it goes to the ultimate, or sorry, the last chapter in the saga was reveal the top card, like exile top cards of your library until you found a legendary permanent, and then put it into your hand. And that's after you've drawn a card for turn. So the gimmick of that list was we're playing like Sarah Paragon to, feed the War Doctor because you could reanimate something with Sarah Paragon, put a finality counter on it essentially,
Mm.
and once it left battlefield, gets exiled. So you're like, okay, I'm going to grab this fetch land, play this fetch land real quick, crack it, gets exiled, add a counter to the War Doctor. I can swing, yada yada yada. Thought Lash was, cumulative upkeep, exile top card of your library equal to the number of time or cumulative upkeep counters that you have on the Thought Lash. So if you had like 3 counters, you would exile 3 cards and only get 1 counter because it's all happening at once, not like reveal type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the day of the War Doctor, or sorry, the day of the Doctor was I only played the One Ring in the 98. Like I didn't play Ragavan, I wasn't playing Bergie, I wasn't playing like all the stuff that you see in my current list, which is the more turbo list.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun gimmick. It did what it did. It just wasn't like getting there. And
Right.
I think I got a top 8 with no, I didn't even get a top 8 with that list at all. I think I did decently that tournament like August of last year, I think. Yeah, August of last year, but like it didn't really go anywhere because then I lost like 2 of my crucial games off of like misplays on my side. Where was it? August? I don't know. Anyway, so um, long story short, I transitioned back in April of last year to this more turbo variant. And it's around this time as when like Rograk and Silas were becoming like the de facto turbo deck. You have the Cabal. If you're familiar with them, you know who they are. If you're not, it's essentially just a bunch of dudes that got together, not dudes, but a bunch of people that got together on a Discord server. Uh, Pretty much for all intents and purposes, did a lot of shit posting, what have you, and everything else, playing Rograk and whatnot. Um, and one of the big proponent was Zane. So he like played Rograk, did a thing, and then when this guy Tad, who won Punt City 3, won with Rograk on like 22 lands, two of them were Siberian lands. I was like, you know, I'm intrigued. What if, right? Marvel's what if.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing this deck. This deck seems like a lot of fun. This deck seems like it can do a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm playing Canine. I'm playing the War Doctor. What if I could take them and turn them into essentially like Jeskai Rogsai without Rograk and Ishsai? I liked Rograk and Ishsai. It's really good for what they do, but a lot of people like lean heavily into Murder Bird and do Murder Bird things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I'm kind of bored of Rograk. I'm kind of like, I don't want to play it. I want to see if I can do something different. And so what I did is I literally took that list, that first place Punt City 3 list. I took all of the red and blue cards that I could from that list that I could legally play in this Jeskai list. And then I started looking for like auxiliary, ancillary, like the equal type of cards. So like they play Dark Ritual and Cabal Ritual. Well, in red we don't have a 1 mana make 3 red, but we do have Desperate Ritual. We have Pyretic Ritual.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have Cabal Ritual in red, where it's like if you have Threshold, make 5 instead. So instead, I was like, okay, we're gonna run Desperate and Pyretic. We're gonna go that route and just swap things out. At one point, I was on Shaman's Trance, which I believe you can find in my Considering board. It's essentially like a weird version of Meme Betrayal before Meme Betrayal was a thing. Not I wouldn't say it's not really Meme Betrayal, but essentially, it was a fun card where because everybody was winning with breaches, like underworld breaches, it was like a really cool gotcha where my opponent's like, okay, I'm going to play this underworld breach. Huge stack war happens. Cool, 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 cool. We get back to the underworld breach, and I will go with my 3 mana, cast Shaman's Trance. Shaman's Trance literally says, and I quote, essentially your opponents can't cast spells from their graveyard that turn.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go find it real quick to make sure I'm saying correctly. So until end of turn, other players can't play cards from their graveyards, and you, the caster, may play cards from other players' graveyards as though they were in your graveyard. So the way that works is your opponent has Underworld Breach out. You play Shaman's Trance. Now they can't do anything with their Underworld Breach. When they go to their end step and the Underworld Breach trigger, sacrifice trigger goes on the stack,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you have a way of casting instant speed spells, you can essentially just win on their end step with their breach. Now that we live in a world where we have otters, high fate tricksters, born upon a winds, emergent zones, like those are more common. It's so much easy. It was so much easier to do it that back then. Then come the bans and all that, and I kind of cut it. Um, and then I still have the card. It's kind of just like I've been really wondering lately if I should re-include it and like what to take out, what to put in. So, but yeah, so I was doing so many things. But the idea was to could I mimic Rogsai in with this deck, and could it be just as good, if not better? The bare minimum was it needs to be as good.
Okay.
And after playing with enough, it honestly just feels that good. Like, sure, I don't have an Orcish Bowmaster. Sure, I don't have access to the really good black tutors. Sure, I don't have like all these different things, but when you're given limitations, it breeds a lot of creativity. So you end up just looking through all sorts of stuff. So I think back in the day they were on Flesh Duplicate. I had Flesh Duplicate in my list at one point. When Bloomburrow came around, I put Mockingbird in because I liked the fact that I could just cast the Mockingbird for however mana I want to. And a lot of times it was always coming into play as somebody's Timna because there was at least 1 to 2 blue farms in every pod that I was playing in back in the day, or back then.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, this now becomes a Timna. I can now fly, draw cards, gain life, the whole 9 yards. And yeah, it just kind of did its thing. The deck just started performing. The deck just started like becoming its own entity, and at the end of the day, it was a turbo breach. At the end of the day, it's pretty much a turbo breach deck that tries to get Underworld Breach win lines out as quickly as possible, with the backup being a really good Wheels deck. So as you'll see in the list, I have like Will the Jeskai, Wheel of Fortune, Windfall, Time Twister.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have Time Twister because Time Twister is just a really good wheel of like resetting both my yard and my opponent's.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good for when Savine's Reclamation is essentially like perma exiled in some way, shape, or form. Then I just play the Time Twister. Time Twister resolves everybody's graveyards, including mine, are put back into the deck, and then essentially I can just like like I can put my Underworld Bridge back in. Worst case scenario. Um, we have you were looking at the sideboard earlier, and I have a Days Undoing and an Esteli Reclaimer. Well, the Days Undoing is there just as like a this is kind of like a budget option. So if
Mm-hmm.
you are going to tournaments that are not proxy friendly and you need a Time Twister budget option, don't play Wheel of Misfortune. In my honest opinion, it's a great card, but now that we have access to Will of the Jeskai, Will of the Jeskai is the new Wheel of Misfortune, and in my honest opinion, should stay as such for this deck. Days Undoing is just the Time Twister replacement.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing Born Upon a Wind and you're playing Otter. You see them more than enough times in many games that as long as you have either of them like resolved, you can play Days Undoing on your opponent's turns on turns that they're trying to win, and you just effectively Time Twister them without ending the turn on your turn. There are times ending the turn on your turn is effective. There is a fun little interaction with Days Undoing and Final Fortune and Last Chance, where at the end step of the turn, Final Fortune triggers, saying that you would essentially lose the game. It's a trigger, so with that trigger on the stack, and you have either Otter or Born resolved, you can literally cast Days Undoing in response to the Final Fortune. With that, you time twist, everything's fine, and then where it says end the turn, it removes that lose the game clause. So
Right.
there you can continue playing another day. If you miss
Oh, you're
sequence
running
and
both.
play it on
Yeah.
yeah, and if you miss sequence and play it before that trigger activates, you still lose the game because it sees the end of turn happening because you're still going through your steps and your phases
Mm-hmm.
when you're ending the turn. It doesn't go straight to it. You're still seeing everything. So you get that trigger, you would lose. It saved me a few times in all hindsight in games where I've played Days Undoing over Time Twister.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
as you can see in the sideboard, I have a Stelly Reclaimer. It's a new Edge of Eternities card. I'm going to be trying it out, so you'll be seeing it in the sideboard a lot in this list. But essentially, the goal of it is it's another version of Savine's Reclamation. Uh,
What does
you
warp
know,
do?
you so warp is a very fun ability. You essentially cast a spell for 3. Oh, 1 second. Have a good day at work, Riley. I love you. Sorry, my partner's going to work. So yeah, so warp is a very fun ability. They don't explain it in what you have up, but if you look at like some of the other uncommons, they have it fleshed out. So it's an alternative casting cost. You pay the warp cost to cast this spell for its warp cost. It, I believe, does not have haste, but it essentially says that at the end of the turn, beginning of the end step, if I recall correctly, you would then exile the card to the exile zone in order to cast it for its full cost at a later turn. It's like a weird version of like plot and what's another? I think it's like somebody compared to like a sneak attack type effect where
Mm-hmm.
you pay a low cost to put the creature into play, but it's kind of casting it. But it does the plot thing where it gets put into exile and you can cast it at a later turn.
Okay.
Because it always the exile trigger always happens at the end step of the turn that you warped it in. So essentially, it just does that. But the reason why I want to put this in is because it's again like a Savine's Reclamation. So when the creature enters, you return target non-creature non-land permanent with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this creature. So if you cast it for the warp cost, you have access to up to 3 mana for this excuse me, non-land non-creature. It's always going to be, well, 98% of the time it's going to be Underworld Breach, and the 2% of the time is probably going to be closer to like a Mana Rock, a Defense Grid, or Stick Study, or something like provisional that you need.
Right.
But it's like Savines, because Savines naturally costs 3 to target one thing, and then to cast it from a different zone costs 5. So there's the similarity there is where I was going with for it, and I was like, this looks interesting, especially because like it's a creature, and the if you've heard the meme before, it's literally creatures are uncounterable. If you've ever heard that, like we only have one, two, I want to say we have like virtually three free counter spells that target creatures, and they're Flare of Denial, Pact of Negation, and Force of Will. Everything else targets non-creatures or instants and
Mindbreak
sorceries
Trap.
specifically.
Yeah.
And Mindbreak Trap, yeah. I don't really like consider Mindbreak Trap a counter spell per se, because it like exiles spells.
That's just the
Doesn't really
most.
like.
It's just the most
Yeah,
common.
yeah.
So I got Warp up right here. It says you may cast this card from your hand for its warp cost.
Right.
Exile this creature at the beginning of the next end step. Then you may cast it from exile on a later turn. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge. Yeah, this is just another Savines reclamation, and I'm wondering if that opens up other intuition, and gifts and given lines.
It can. So you can, as you just said, like you can only do the warp cost from hand, which is honestly, if that's the worst part of warp, that's fine. Like that doesn't matter, because you could do intuition gifts and given piles where like you give them a Savines, an LED. So gifts specifically, you give them a Stelly, Savines, Breach, LED in this case, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna more than likely give you either
They're giving you the Savines, right?
if the opponent is, I'm going to just be blunt. If the opponent's smart, they'll give you the Savines, because Savines is easier to interact with.
Correct.
On multiple levels.
Yeah.
Whereas a Stelly, you have to literally try and deflecting swat this Stelly, because that's going to, like, whatever the target's going to be when it ETBs. But because it's a creature, it's difficult to interact with creatures. So my thinking is for gifts is I give them 2 Savines, essentially, an LED and a Breach. They're always going to give me the LED, and they're more than likely going to give me the Stelly. And no matter how much mana I have open, I'm always going to have 5 open to either hard cast a Stelly for 5, or do the warp ability, or cast Savines in graveyard for 5 with the LED.
That's interesting.
So either way, I'm kind of like getting the most out of it, and forcing hands in some way, shape, or form. So far in the playtest games, it's actually been working out well, where I get the Stelly, and we just go from there. But that's usually with the gifts and givens games. The ones where it's like intuition, you're just doing traditional intuition piles, unless your Savine's in the yard. Then you're just like LED, a Stelly, Breach, or LED, Breach, Impact, the usual intuition stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll touch back on that with you later. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm cooking a Terror right now, so I don't know if it goes in that deck because it's an Adnos deck.
That's fair, yeah.
I definitely like Jeskai, though. This is like the right place for it.
I think so too. I think you could kind of get away with a Jeskai list running Rogue Rakanish Sai with a variant of what's like with some variations of cards in this list by swapping out a few things. Like I don't think you're going to need Transmute Artifact, because Transmute Artifact is literally to synergize with K9. Like if you also look at the creature list, I only have 1 artifact creature. If you look at the artifact list, I think I have like 18 or 19 artifacts right now. So you can
18.
Yeah, 18 artifacts, and a lot of times you're not really 20, like 19, 20. So 20. Not to mention you have like a Ragavan that makes treasures, but that's neither here nor there. Harnfell with Bergie if you want to like cast the Harnfell side.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of that, we can actually talk about Harnfell and Bergie.
I,
So
I do want to talk after when you're done. I want to go
yeah,
through each individual card, and then I want to go to the primer. But go ahead,
yeah,
Bergie.
we could start that now actually if you want.
Yeah, so pretty much what he said, K9 War Doctor, it's pretty much just guy rock side deck, like trying to go
Hmm.
fast. So kind of let's rank and like let's talk about like again I gear this to newer players sleeving it up. Like I'm curious, I want to sleeve this deck up. So I kind of
Yeah,
like rank the cards of never cutting it, testing it. I'm gonna test the new Astili's
yeah.
card. I'll probably cut this. Like kind of, we'll just kind of burn through most of the cards and just like this is a staple. Don't ever touch this card. This card's mid. This card's great. And then oh, this is a weird combo about this card, right?
Hmm.
So let's go. Dark Dragon Reach Challenger. This is probably just you need to keep it, right?
Yeah. So I was playing Darcy about a year ago during Dockside or during Dockside times. It was really fun, really really great. And then I had cut it post bans, thinking it's not that great right now. I don't need to worry about the surveil trigger. You know, we're not doing Dockside stuff anymore. We're trying to either put stuff in yards. I've since scaled back on that thought process in the more recent like month and a half, and I don't know why I cut this card to begin with. Like
It's one.
Dragon's Rage Channeler is just so good for this deck. Like I'm running,
It's
I
one of the best
think
on Overbreach
it's
cards, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
like outside of let's see, 23 lands and 11 creatures. So that's what 30, 34 non or 34 cards that are
20,
like
23 plus 12
not
or 12.
not non-creature cards.
33 minus 98. What is
She
that?
triggers off of every one of those cards. She triggers off Gitaxian Probe, Last Chance, like all that
Over
stuff.
60 cards. Yeah.
Over like more than 2/3 of the deck is literally able to interact with her, and I don't know why I cut her to begin with. Dumb idea on my part.
Yeah.
I've kept
It's
her ever
because in
since.
every
It's been
breach
great.
deck. Yep. I agree.
Um, then you have Esper Sentinel.
Esper
Esper
Sentinel.
Sentinel's just it's just card draw.
It's one of the
It's
best
fish
cards
stick.
in the format, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's we're playing blue. We want to draw as many cards as we can.
Yeah, we don't have card advantage. But Esper Sentinel probably goes in 99.9% of white decks, right? What about
Most of them, yeah.
Mockingbird? You're talking about it a little bit earlier. What's like
Yeah, so
upside?
I like Mockingbird. Mockingbird was there more as like originally when I played it, it was to be a clone for Dockside. It
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, I can play a clone to Dockside. I could just play Flesh Duplicate. Like I was on Displacer Kitten lines back then with Fairy. Um, but then since the bans, I've cut them because they're just too clunky mana wise. So I've scaled it back. I put Mockingbird in because, as I mentioned earlier, like I can make it into anything if I need to. Mockingbird comes in as my opponent's Timna because now that we have the rise of Dargo Timna gaining popularity,
Mm-hmm.
we have Blue Farm, which has always been popular. We now have TNT back in the mix after so many years since Flash's ban. Um, so Timna is just very common. So I was like, oh well, I could just play this bird. This bird can't be blocked by any like essentially has evasion because it gains flying and as a bird when you clone it. So I can just start getting like card draw and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Timna's just been like the biggest like clone or target for this clone. But I've found other things like other people's Goblin Welders. I've grabbed
Win cons.
win cons. I've even jokingly copied my own Esper Sentinel just so I could have like double
Two
draws.
Esper Sentinels, two Rags.
Yeah.
Two Darcy would be crazy.
Like two Darcys would be
Mhm.
crazy. I haven't done that one yet, but it's because it hasn't come up in that scenario. But literally, it's just been like play the bird, bird does a thing, and then we just kind of do our stuff. So, and then you have like Ragavan. Ragavan is
Ragavan. Yep.
your typical monkey. Like he's the monkey.
He's staple, right? Yeah.
He's a staple in a lot of red decks, and
Yeah,
I think
he's staple.
unless you're playing a version of, let's say, Canine the War Doctor that does play Day of the Doctor, which I don't recommend in the current day, at least until like if we get mana curve back, I would totally try that mid range build out again and like be like, here, go try that out. But in the current day and age,
Yeah,
there's no reason not to play Ragavan.
I agree.
So
we can skip through most of the staples. But
yeah,
I'm with you. What about Malevolent Hermit? Yep.
So Malevolent Hermit was a more recent like inclusion back in April. That's how recent I believe I put it in when I got top 16 over at Cool Stuff Con.
Mm-hmm.
So it's plain and simple. It is a mana leak. Uh, you play it. It's a good thing to block with if you need a block, but for the most part, you're not blocking with it. You're just using it as the mana bait, as the mana leak part, because most players are playing defense grids. They're playing Voice of Victories. Um, I've been on this like soapbox thing for people cutting Grand Abolisher because at the end of the day, like Grand Abolisher doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
Well,
Not very many people are playing
we'll,
Malevolent Hermit anyway,
we'll
so you
talk
don't have
about
to worry
voice
about
in a
that.
minute. Yeah,
Yeah.
voice just put his dick on the table.
Yeah. Below, and then when you put him in the yard, you can cast him for his disturb cost, which is like 2 and a
Grand
blue, and
Abolisher.
become,
Yep.
as you can see, for Benevolent Geist, which just says your non-creature spells can't be countered.
Yeah,
Like,
and you're in a like
oh no,
Darcy deck too. Like, oh darn, let me bin
yeah,
this Malevolent Hermit. Oh, where'd that
oh
come
no,
from?
what's gonna
I'm gonna
happen?
play this 3 mana Grand Abolisher. Is this cool? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I
I've
like
done
that. I
that.
like that in this deck. I
Yeah,
might play this in my other breach. Huh.
yeah.
I'm gonna revisit this card. I like
I've
I
been
like
liking
this
it.
card. That's
I've
cool.
been liking it.
Especially in this format, right? I have a thing that I don't have to cast that is
Mm-hmm.
just like fuck around and find out, right? 1 blue
Mm-hmm.
mana, not casting any spells. I like this right now. I know before a lot of people were on it probably 2-3 years ago. A lot of people started cutting it because it would be like a
Mm-hmm.
political tool of, oh, I'm gonna sandbag my interaction because that guy has a
Mm-hmm.
hermit that he's just gonna blow, and then they would make someone use it, and it got really awkward. But I feel like right
Yeah.
now in this mid-range hell, you could just play this guy early and just like I have right. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll revisit this guy for sure. Talk
Yeah,
about Ral.
definitely.
How's Ral feel?
So Raul's been feeling great. Raul has been a commander that's been popping up a lot lately that people have been playing. A lot of the
Mm-hmm.
many of the Kark Sakashima players that I've played with have converted to Raul just because it's essentially it's clean.
It's
It's
fast.
you play a 2 mana commander that turns into a
I lost a
planeswalker.
Jesus turn 2 Ral at the last tournament. I
Yeah,
didn't get a turn 2, and I was just
yeah,
like
and it can pop off. I mean, it runs very few
interaction.
lands, but and very few interaction pieces. But it just goes.
Yeah.
Your opponent either has to have the interaction constantly, or they have to have a silence of some
Yeah, and I
sort.
mean instant sorceries,
Um,
right? Like your Jessica's Wills and your Wheels are
mhm.
2 mana now, right? Like your
Yeah.
Sebane's is 2 mana or 4 mana. Or Born Upon a Wind's 1
Hmm.
mana. Brain Freeze, like it opens up
Hmm.
so many things, especially Turbo Deck, right? Like the rituals are
Hmm.
1 less mana, dramatic reversals 1 less mana. All that can matter in a storm turn.
Yeah.
Of
It,
okay,
it
I
has.
have
Yeah.
it because I have Route. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
like that. I like Route. What about Thoracle?
So
Is it just easier to? Sorry.
so hold on. Let me go back to Raul.
Okay.
So just for people to understand, Raul was added to the list as a mana cost reducer,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought maybe I would like the flip half. I have realized since adding it, I never flip Raul. If I'm flipping Raul, I have pretty much either conceded the game or I'm smoking some kind of crack or something
Yeah, you told
because,
me last time you exiled a breach, and you're like, "Don't win this game."
yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't win this game, but I could try and do other things.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, well, if I play Raul, I could play Pull from Eternity, and then like Pull from Eternity can put Breach back into my yard, but then that's like
Oh, it's bad.
so many things. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on the fence of like I've been edging for Eternity, putting Pull from Eternity in the 98 just because of like there are times where I have to like
Ugh.
in order for me to win and come back somehow I have to get my Breach back into the graveyard after it's been exiled or Savines has been exiled or something. So we're gonna try Stellar Reclaimer, see if Reclaimer works. If Reclaimer doesn't work, then who
Okay.
knows? But
I got you.
for Thoracle, yeah. So Thoracle is kind of a controversial one for a lot of people that see me with this list, and when I show them the list, um, for all intents and purposes, Thoracle is in the deck because it's a clean way to win.
Yep.
The second I have brain freezed myself into oblivion, I can literally just Thassa's Oracle onto the
It
battlefield,
just goes.
win the game.
It goes around so many things. Oh,
Yeah.
that guy has protection. I can't brain freeze him. I can't Wheel of Fortune now. I can't do this. I do that. Thassa's Oracle
Mhm.
just cleans up everything. There's a reason why every 3-4 color pile plays this. It's just
Mhm.
so clean.
So it's just a clean win. I've talked with a bunch of people in both the Jeskai Temple server, which is more like Elsha based, but I mean I get like Tifer and Wordy and was it Primal Liberty and a couple others like pop in to because the way they have their deck uh, deck talk or deck list channel set up is it's a forum thing, so everybody's like deck is its own forum, so you can kind of just like have your own little mini threads in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we'll get into that. Like we will get into there, and sometimes like, oh, why do you play Thoracle? And it's a lot of times it's just it's clean. Like, oh, well, you don't need Thoracle because you play this, that, and the other. Yeah, I play, this, that, and the other, and sure, yeah, I could say that like the reason Thorkel's in there is because I'm afraid of the One Ring, but like that's never really come up to where I needed to do Thorkel to get around to One Ring. It's more along the lines of just
Mm-hmm.
like I literally win the game right there. Like
Mm-hmm.
I play the Thoracle unless you have some way to interact with me, whether I have whether you're able to interact with me or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just wins.
I had a weird game. Well, Honor Breach and Torque are like best friends, but I had a couple weeks ago. This guy was like,
Mm,
something happened where he cracked a Ranger Captain a little too late, so there's like a brain freeze on the stack, right? Or like I don't know, something weird happened. So in response, I think Born Upon Wind is after or whatever. So in response, recast like 2 rocks and brain freeze again. So between that brain freeze and the other one on the stack somehow, I think it's like a flare duplication or something. So those 2 brain freezes so cast brain freeze mill 30. He responds cracks Ranger Captain. The guy responds with okay, do this, do that, do this, copy the brain freeze, or he does something, casts another brain freeze, and then mills another 38 or whatever,
yeah.
right? So then he goes, okay, Ranger Captain is going to resolve. Mill 38, mill 30, I'm going to cast this Thoracle out of my graveyard. And everybody was like, damn. like,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, I'm good. Like, my devotion is 8, and I just have that many
Yeah.
cards. Like, it just does so many things where, like,
Mm-hmm.
people are like, oh, haha, I have this crazy thing that you can't, I have this One Ring, now what? Jeskai player, and you're like, yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
cool. Brain freeze, Thoracle. like,
Yep.
well, nice One Ring.
And you brought it up just now with Ranger Captain, but as you've noticed, there is no Grand Abolisher and there is no Ranger Captain in the list,
Yeah.
even though I'm playing Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Just to like get that out of the way. So I don't
Are you on
play Grand
silence?
Abolisher. I do have Silence. I have Silence, D-Grid,
T-Grid.
and I have the Malevolent Hermit.
I think Voice
So
of
those are
Victory
my
is the one
three.
that me and you could probably fight about. That's just like that card has been
Um,
so good for me. But whatever, it's your list.
Well, so for Voice of Victory, like, and I can add that to this whole thing. So Grand Abolisher and Range Captain are both not in the list
The white,
because they
yeah.
require double white. It's all that's literally double colored pips.
Yep,
Like,
makes sense.
I like Voice of Victory more because it's one in a white versus double white. I don't care about the access to, or the additional thing that Grand Abolisher adds, which is like your opponents can activate artifacts, creatures, or enchantments.
Doesn't matter.
Like,
It,
it never does.
so
Like, it's never
irrelevant.
been, yeah,
We're not
never
in
has
green.
mattered.
It doesn't matter.
It never mattered.
Yeah.
Then for Voice of Victory, so I had Voice of Victory in the list, and Voice of Victory is kind of like one of those things that I'm willing to re-include back into the list. The only reason I removed it is because of Ral. So the second I added Ral and the second I added Vivi to the deck, it literally turned into, well, I can just play Flare of Denial now, or Flare of Duplication again. So since I have more red creatures, there's really no point in playing Voice of Victory at this point. Like, it kind of just turned into a flex slot, but you can add it. Like, you can re-add it.
I would play this.
There's nothing against. I have nothing against like anybody putting Voice of Victory
Right. Yeah.
in their
That's
version
one
of
of
this
the
list if
cards.
they want to.
Right. That's why I'm glad we're doing this today. Of hey, I'm not mad at you for playing Voice of Victory, but like there's other cards where you're like,
Yeah.
get that dog shit out of my deck. That's just preference, right?
Yeah, it's all preference.
Like, you're on Hermit. This could be a Voice of
Yeah.
Victory, right?
That's pretty much. I think
Yeah.
actually, I think that's what I did. Is I took out Hermit, took out Voice, put in Hermit. I forget what I did, but essentially like it ended up turning into one. I took out Voice, I added Ral and Vivi, Flare of Duplication, and I was like, this list seems pretty solid.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
1,
run it
2,
like
3,
this.
4. Yeah, 5 red creatures with your commander. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we could argue that all day long. But that's
Yeah.
a card. Voice Victory. Okay, Bergie. This is probably just like one of the best cards. Right?
It's pretty. Yeah, Bergie's just pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
You cast a spell, make red mana.
you have
if
these
you want
two
to,
out, Ral and Bergie out.
Yeah.
It's fucking over.
If you have Ral and Bergie out, it like the Bergie half you have out with Ral,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
If you have the like, I tend to cast the horn side very rarely
Mm-hmm.
a lot these days, just because like getting the mana just feels so much better
Mm-hmm.
for what I'm about to, especially because like for the longest time I was back in the height of Rogside during the Dockside era was they were on like 48 to 50 mana sources, and the most I could get to them was like 46 or 47,
Mm-hmm.
because like you have your Jessica's Wills, you have your Bergies, you have like, to me Ragavan is essentially a mana dork. You have Simian Spirit Guide, you have Jessica's Will, you have the rituals, you have like all these different things that when I talk about like mana sources, I'm including mana rocks, lands,
Right.
and rituals
Right.
and mana dorks. Like
Yep.
you're getting it all.
Especially this is a
Um,
storm deck, right? Bergie
mhm.
is the storm card.
Yeah,
Like
Bergie
I'm
is the
not
storm card.
fizzling on my storm turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Flood Collar and Born Upon a
So
Wind effects?
Flood Caller is literally again also self-explanatory. Like it's a creature born upon a wind for non-creature spells. Like
Mm-hmm.
you flash him in, you can start popping off at instant speed. You know, we are in a pseudo flash meta, and I say pseudo because it's not physical flash being played. It's
Mm-hmm.
just we're flash speed.
Yeah, if you have
Um,
like a Rhystic Study or something and there's a big fight and you can just be
mhm.
like, okay, cool, 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 cool. Flood
Yeah.
Collar, Breach, I win.
And you know, there's a very fun, great synergy with Flood Caller where, you know, every time you cast a non-creature spell, he untaps himself. So if you
Yeah.
put a Paradise Mantle on him, you're essentially making mana.
Are
You know,
you
you're
on
doing a
Mantle?
rogue. You're yeah, I'm on Mantle. Like,
Mm-hmm. Springleaf Drum. Yeah.
you know, if Rogsai was doing it, if Rog Thrasios is doing it, obviously it must be good.
Yeah,
Like
Mockingbird.
having an otter do this, you know, the bird. I've also turned the bird into Mockingbird into like a Birds of Paradise or a Bloom
Mm-hmm.
Tender, and because Mockingbird says it is a bird in addition to its other types, it synergizes so well with the otter. So you're okay. My Bloom Tender in this case makes, you know, three colors: blue, white, and green, because it retains the color of, you know, what it's copying. Cool. I'm going to cast this spell. I'm going to untap, and now I can just keep doing it again.
Yeah, that's good.
You
I love
you know,
Otter. Otter right now is just so strong. Born Upon a Wind makes her
yeah.
so strong. Even if you're not playing against like crazy, like the Kennen, the crazy copy effects,
Yeah.
these are just good to have like for a backup. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna push right now. I'm gonna hold up this Otter
Yep.
and see what the fuck's about to happen. Cause like the Kennen decks and the Blue Farm decks, a lot of times they'll just be like, "Hey, put this 100 kick on the stack, or put this Grand Abolisher on the stack," and you're like, "All right, all right. I guess
Mhm.
this is now to do this, right?" So it's
Yep.
I hate being the first one to go for it, because then you get first one stopped pretty much. So these
Mhm.
effects go, hey man, you don't have to be the first. I like that. So Vivi. Also, this is an alternate win con, right? Just breach. Let me cast all my
Yeah.
stuff from the yard. Like,
So there have been times where like an opponent will. So what was actually so we so I played with Tim, and he's on Grixis Pirates.
mm-hmm.
Not Gold Saber 2 Tim, but Tim from the Fort Pierce group.
Okay.
And we were playing a game, whatever it was, and his rev that he was playing took my Thoracle,
Mm.
but I didn't know it was that way because rev keeps the card face down. So I'm
Mm.
trying to win and being like, where the f is my Thassa's Oracle? And then Tim has this big shit-eating grin on his face, and I'm like, cool, awesome, bet. Play the VV. And I
Yeah.
just start casting non-creature spells and getting like,
Ritual, ramp, ramp.
yeah, you just do enough to where
Yeah.
like VV deals all the damage,
Yeah, I play
and
VV. It's
then
one of my
do
main
it.
decks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite win
Um,
con of, oh, you're just going to brain freeze? No.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah.
Jutaxian Probe.
Yeah.
Rite of Flame. Is that cool? Okay, cool. Jessica's will a few times. Is that cool? Like,
Exactly,
it's just,
yeah.
you kill him. Yeah. That's so
But yeah,
sick.
that's pretty much the creature suite.
Yeah.
You can cut it down to however you need to. I usually keep it roughly about 10 creatures, but we're just at a point where,
Yeah.
you know,
Voice of we can go into
it
consider.
technically is
But-
voice you can re-add. If you wanted to add Voice of Victory into the
Yeah.
list, you could probably get away with like
Yeah.
taking out Malevolent Hermit and just doing a easy 1-to-1 swap from there.
Okay.
There's, like I said, there's no.
That's probably what I would do.
I'm not gonna dunk on you if you want to put Voice of Victory in the list. Like
Yeah.
Voice of Victory is a good card, so you more than likely should put it in there. I just like Malevolent Hermit because I can also, you know, I can pitch the Malevolent Hermit to either
A
itself or a
Force,
Flare of Denial.
Mox. Yeah.
like, or the forces.
Mm.
It's got more versatility in that regard.
Okay. No, I like it. You're cooking
So
for sure. No, I like it. The voice Victor's the only creature I could think of. Yeah. Let's hop in the
yeah,
sorceries. Gamble, best red tutor,
yeah.
Jaxian
Gamble's auto
probe.
include. Gataxian Probe is probably a flex slot at this point. You
Yeah.
can take it in and out
In
if
a
you want. I
turbo
like
deck,
it.
man, I'm on Turbo Terra right now, and this is like, oh, okay, let me see if I can go for it. Or hey,
Yeah.
I just enlightened tutored or vamp tutored. Let me go ahead and just Axiom probe and win, right? Like I think this
Plus,
card's
yeah.
really strong, but it is a flex card.
Yeah,
You're yeah,
you're playing a manual storm list. Like
yeah,
Canine War Doctor is a manual storm list, so this
yeah.
effectively for 2 life just adds to your storm count. I
Yeah,
don't,
and your commander doesn't draw
you
cards,
know,
right? So it's
yeah,
always good to have this. But yeah,
you also play to see if the coast is clear with one player. If one player's got a crap ton of
yeah,
cards in
but you're not
hand,
gonna win a tournament if you don't have this card in your deck, right?
uh,
Like it's not that.
it's
It's
not gonna
probably your
lose you
95th
games.
card, right? It's not
You're
like
probably your 95th card. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I got you. So you're on a lot of rituals, right?
Yep. On
Yeah,
a lot of
we're
rituals,
good
we
at.
have Infernal Plunge, we have
Yeah,
Rite of Flame,
right.
we have Jessica's
I
Will
noticed
is
the other ones
both,
too, desperate and
and
pyretic.
Pyretic. Yep.
Yeah, you need the rituals in this list.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah,
And it's mainly just because like there are times where you have a Jessica's Will or a Wheel in hand and
mm-hmm.
only 2 lands, and you like missed your land drop or
Yeah,
casting
yeah.
a rock or something. You play your ritual goes through. You play your Jessica's Will, or you play your
Your
wheel in this
wheel.
case,
Yeah, and then you have
and either you
gas.
make a crap ton more mana, if or both halves if you have Canine or War Doctor out, or wheel into like something else so you can kind of like start going and doing things. Wheels are a very like tricky mistress because wheels tend to be like a double-edged sword. You could either
Yeah,
give yourself a shitty hand and all of your opponents the
or
nuts,
you win.
or you give
Yeah.
yourself your the best hand and all of your opponents the best hands, or it's a very weird like ebb and flow.
I just saw spicy include. Sell me on transmute artifact.
It's a canine card. It's the best way to put it. So transmute artifact is transmute artifact was an auto include the day I was brewing the list because it was like, oh wait,
Oh, I
transmute
see.
artifact,
Defense grade grinding station.
defense grid, grinding station, all those artifacts that you see,
Ramp.
Canine can
LED.
full metal alchemist into any of those things.
Yeah, LED.
Um,
Hey, I need my LED real quick to win the game. Let
mm-hmm.
me sack my fucking dog.
There was a time I did a transmute artifact on a Springleaf Drum and turned it into Esper Sentinel because Esper Sentinel is also an artifact.
Okay, one ring, of course. Yeah.
But the caveat with transmute artifact is so the way the card is worded, the oracle text on it is essentially when you cast a spell, sacrificing an artifact is not an additional cost. It's part of the resolution.
Yep.
So
If
you
do
say
this-
transmute artifact, and your opponents are like, "Well, what are you targeting? What are you sacking?" I don't know. I'm going to see what happens when it resolves. I have all these artifacts.
It's
See
like a
what
clone.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it resolves, then a lot of times, like I'll either sacrifice Canine or a rock I don't need or something of that nature to get something more, like my grinding station, like my D grid. The caveat, the thing that you have to worry about and make sure to keep in mind is when you put the new artifact into play, you just have to pay the difference. So
Right.
there are times where like I will tap a Soul Ring for 2, sack it to a transmute, put in the 1 ring, and now I have the 2 mana floating plus, let's say, like another land or mana source to pay for the difference, and now I have a 1 ring.
Right.
Sure, 1 ring doesn't get like the cast trigger, or
Right,
the ETB doesn't like give you protection the turn that it comes out because like it has to be cast specifically,
Right.
and you're not casting the 1 ring. But
Also, doesn't for newer players, doesn't that kind of like help your flexibility? You're like, to be honest, I don't know what I'm getting from Transmute Artifact, and then you're like, oh, okay, I'll just get a Soul Ring, or I'll just get a Mana Vault, I'll get something for setup, right? But if they're, I'm going to counter, it's like, brother, it's not going to be a defense grid or a grinding station. I'm just getting a 1 ring or mana, right? Like you can,
it's
just,
one of those things.
It's just
like,
an Esper Sentinel, guys. Like, calm down.
Yeah.
But if no one says anything,
there are times I've had to
like,
do that. Yeah.
Dude, this is a nice 2 mana defense grid from my library. I
Yeah.
win. Yeah. I like that. That's spicy.
So for a top 8 that I got back in December at Sky High, revolved around I think it was round 4 or round 5 with Sylvester and 2 other people. One guy was on, so it was Tivit in first seat, Sylvester on TNT, this guy on Kinnan, and then me. And we got to a point where like because I had an S% allowed, and I was drawing a fair amount of cards at the time. I cast Transmute Artifact. Sylvester goes, I'm going to Op Agent, and I'm like, fuck. So before the Transmute Artifact resolves on the stack, I played a Dress Down. Dress Down didn't get like countered or anything, so essentially the Op Agent was null and void. After we had gone through that whole thing, which you should be able to find the link to that video in the primer because it should go to the timestamp for it. But essentially, like my original goal was to get, I believe, Defense Grid, but instead I had to go for, I think, something else like LED or what have you, is what I ended up going for. But like Transmute Artifact, and even in that video, because that's when I got the clarification of like, oh, I don't have to target an artifact. I literally just wait. It just says sacrifice an artifact.
Right. It's huge.
And at the time, I was originally going to like I was going to sacrifice my Boros Talisman that I was running at the time before I swapped it over to Fellwar Stone to go grab, I believe it was Defense Grid was the mentality at the time. I have to re-look at that and kind of remember what was in my hand. But yeah, Transmute has been amazing. Like I played Transmute a lot. I want to say 92% of the time. That's just being very specific, but like 90% of the time, it always resolves. Like 90% of the time it resolves. 10% of the time is because like my opponent's like, oh, he's really close to getting to a win of some sort. Let's interact with it in this way, shape, or form.
I like that. That's spicy.
Yeah.
So Jessica, we can go through some of these. Jessica's Will is probably one of the best red cards, right? This deck is just
everything's pretty much like standard and
Sabine's
stably.
Best white card. You got your wheels. We got some counter spells. How's this new card? I can't pronounce it. How is that faring? I know I asked you last video. I just forgot.
So Louis So's Sacrifice. It's actually been pretty good. Because I am on a good number of legendary creatures.
Your commander.
Like my commander for 1, Ragovan, like all that stuff. Casting for 1 mana has been great. There are times I've actually had to cast it for 3 mana just because like I needed Canine for something, or Canine was gone, or War Doctor was gone, right?
In a
legendary
pinch,
creatures.
Right? Yeah, in a pinch.
Yeah, like in a pinch, it was great for what it did because it was a stifle or a physical counter. It's been great for me, so I can't speak negatively of it.
So
it's just
deck, yeah, and in this deck particular, it seems good.
Yeah.
So you're on how many legendaries? You got 1, 2, 3, 4 besides your 1 mana commander. Okay, cool. I think.
And then you have Mockingbird that essentially becomes like a legendary creature if you think about it.
Yeah,
so like,
5. Yeah.
Like.
Okay, I like it. That's interesting. Got all this stuff. Born Upon a Wind, Cyclonic Rift. We talked about last time. Dramatic Reversal. I'll just take a minute. This card is insane, right?
Yeah, it's the second Dockside was banned. I was like, all right, cool. I get to re-add Dramatic Reversal to my deck now. It becomes like my poor man's like Dockside. It also adds to my storm count, and it's a non-creature spell, so it triggers Darcy. It gets reduced because of Raoul, and like it also feeds VV. So now like it has so many different things.
Well, and two, you're on the Flood Caller stuff, right? So like you said,
so
earlier,
you can just
respond to the Dramatic Reversal, untap it, tap it, blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Yep.
Snap. We talked about that before. All that. You have a bunch of interaction for a turbo deck.
Oh yeah,
1, 2,
it's
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Trying to just look at counter spells. 7.5, I guess. 9.
So Muddle's a very fun one.
Yeah, it's in Jeskai. You need the 2, right? It gets all your.
So it's essentially
counter spells for a turbo deck.
So yeah, I'm playing Pact. I'm playing
15.
Louis So's. I'm on like 15.
Yeah.
The Muddle though, you kind of have to scratch off of that list just because like
it's a half. It's a pinch, but you never. Yeah.
I'm always using it for the transmutability. I've rarely used it for its actual like counter spell.
Defense Grid, Breach, Talismans, Grinding Stations, Dramatic Reversal, Rituals.
Yep.
Born Upon a Wind, Brain Freeze.
Any of the creatures.
Any of here,
Last Chance, Transmute.
Yep, Rao, Thoracle, I guess. Okay, yeah. So it's worth it in this deck for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's just 2. It's 3 mana, I believe.
It's 1 and 2 blue, yeah.
Yeah, so 3. So it's a 5 mana Breach. Like, yeah, I'm gonna take that all day long.
Essentially,
I win the
yeah.
game. 5 mana. I have breach. I win. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And it comes in clutch so many times because
Um,
you're just like, I'm going to transmute this, and my opponents are like, I'm going to counter it. I'm like, no, 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 it's an ability. It's an activated ability.
yeah. Calm down. Calm down,
it's
fella.
like it's like channel.
Yeah.
So you have the op agent.
Yeah, that's funny. So intuition gifts. We talked about a lot about it last pod.
Yep.
These are just the reason why you play Jeskai. Gifts Ungivens got a
Yeah.
man intuition. Like Jeskai got better, and we love to see it. I love when they do
Yeah.
something right.
At the end
I
of the
was
day,
so
it's like
happy.
at the end of the day, it was like because I'd mentioned too, like I'm friends with Shivenbot, and he
Mm-hmm.
used to be on the CAG, and when we were in Amsterdam, we were talking about it in length, and he and I both agreed, like, Shivam was talking to Sheldon a lot and to the RC a lot when Sheldon was alive,
Mm-hmm.
and he was literally like, "Why is gifts banned? Like, there's no reason for it to be banned.
Yeah. And it's
Like,
really, really
if
strong in the right deck, and then other
if
decks
in,
it's mid.
yeah,
And that's what we're playing.
not to mention like the biggest argument for it was like it's
Intuition is better,
literally
right?
it's a well, intuition is better because it gets you everything. I think
That's what I'm
honestly
saying.
gifts is better personally, just because
It's a debate, right?
the way gifts is worded, right? And I was around during like original Kamigawa Pro Tour when Frank Carson did the really fun little thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Gifts and Given says choose 4 cards, your opponent chooses 2 of them, and those 2 go to the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fun thing in the game where when it comes to fail to find, you know how like you
Yep.
say, okay, I'm going to fetch fail to find
Yeah,
off a
it's up to
library.
4, too.
Essentially, it's up to 4, so
Yeah.
you have to get a guaranteed 2 minimum
Throw
to
in the
make
bin.
to do it correctly,
Mhm.
because you need to get rid of 2 cards no matter what, with based how the cards worded. So minimum 2 cards have to be selected, but up to 4. So you just grab your 2 cards for 4 mana, bin them, and then on your
Savine's Breach,
turn,
right? And step.
Savine's
Savine's
Breach.
Breach and step. Yeah.
Yeah,
So good. God damn it.
like, and you can't do that with intuition because intuition's worded as your opponent selects the card you keep, not the cards that go to the graveyard.
Right.
So they
Okay.
both have their things. They're both powerful in their own rights, but in my honest opinion, it was like, why have intuition when you don't and keep gifts banned? It's either you get rid of intuition or you bring back gifts, and it was always that like teeter totter. If they banned
Right.
intuition, this deck probably wouldn't be possible. It would be me trying to play Winota still, or trying to make like Aisha of Sparks and Smoke like good
Yeah.
or something.
I love that. Yeah.
But the
this
fact
is a great
that
unban.
the fact that they gave like Jeskai decks in general access to this card has been the best thing ever,
I
and
agree.
I truly agree. Like,
Yeah.
I played Spellseeker. The second they unbanned it, Spellseeker was cut.
Yep. Hey, hello, get some gift.
There was no point.
Yeah, that's funny. So you got a lot of mana rocks. I do want to talk before we go on. I want to talk about so like Rog Side. This is where we're comparing it to, right?
Effectively, yeah.
So Rog Side or any turbo deck, a lot of turbo decks aren't in blue, but you're on a lot of interaction for being a turbo deck. So what's kind of the idea behind that?
It's all free for the most part. Like, if you think about it, Pact is 0 to cast.
Yeah, there's 1.
Mental Misstep is free to cast.
2.
Your Daze is
3.
effectively free to cast.
Yep, your flares, fierce.
Your flares are always free. Your SWAT, your fierce.
So the
your
only
forces,
other counter spells you're on are like Flusterstorm.
and
You're not
Luisos.
a Swan Song. Yeah, Luisos.
No,
Yeah.
So you could run Swan Song. If you wanted to, you could run Swan Song in the list, and I would probably recommend taking out like Luisos for it. But at the end of the day, I am not a fan of Swan Song.
Okay.
And it's for the simple fact of Swan Song just gives your opponents a 2/2 body to counter like the instant sorcery or enchantment, right?
Okay.
At that point, it just feels like it's like offer you can't refuse, in my opinion. Like, I don't like giving my opponents treasures, but there's also the synergy.
So this, we can have a good argument. We can both agree to disagree. But for me, Swan Song's one of those cards. Yeah, Swan Song's one of those cards where it's like, no, I'm with you. Nobody wants a 2/2 bird, but Underworld Breach is the best combo in this deck. So I'm not cutting Swan Song because, I gave him a 2/2 bird, but he has Underworld Breach on the stack. And a lot of these Flusterstorm effects don't counter that. But you're on Daze and shit, so that's fine.
I'm on Daze. I'm also like, and Luisos is actually probably a better Swan Song in my opinion, just because like, sure, you have to...
Yeah.
Like,
overall,
sure, you have to sack a
not.
blue creature, or sorry, you have to sacrifice a legendary creature just to like get it for 1 mana. But at the end of the day, it's like, you can counter any non-creature spell at that point
Well,
with
yeah, I
Luisos.
can concede in this deck it's probably better because you have Canine Hermit. Like, oh, so I would love to sacrifice these
Mm-hmm.
guys. Cool, right? But
Mm-hmm.
any other deck, like just a generic pile, Swan Song probably is better than Luiso. But for
Probably, yeah.
sure, in this deck, you're just like, yeah, I'm definitely playing because it has upside. Swan Song is insertion transmit. This goes, I'll counter the same thing Swan Song's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'll stop the Kinnan player. Also, I'll stop the Magnus Sisse player. Swan Song doesn't do those things. So I can
Mm-hmm.
concede that this card's probably better in this deck than Swan Song. But
Yeah.
overall, when people say the 2/2 bird argument, I'm like, yeah, but I would rather give you 2/2 bird than Underworld Breach. If Underworld Breach gets
That's
banned,
fair.
then what are we talking about, right? So
And a lot of times too is like I'm also playing against decks that they play sacrifice effects. Like we're talking Timna Dargo, we're talking like Rocks, like any black deck that plays Calling
Timnas.
the League,
Yeah, any
Timna's
Timna
like
deck. Yeah, I'm not giving that guy a 2/2 fucking bird.
that's
Yeah.
another issue. Is like that's the reason why I don't want to play Swan Song is like I'm giving them a body that helps
And
them
Flood Maw, right? Yeah.
way more than I think it helps me. Like I liked Floodmaw and I swapped out Snap initially for Floodmaw for our time.
Oh, do. So you're right. You're on a bunch of so you're on a bunch of counter spells, but they're good. They're all free. You're not really worried about,
Yeah, I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah. So let's move on. Artifacts. Got a lot,
It's
of mana.
it's essentially a standard like turbo deck artifact package.
Mm-hmm.
Like the package is essentially you're playing all the low cost artifact spells like the mana rocks.
Grim Monolith.
I'm playing Felwar Stone over the Boros Talisman because I
It's faster.
learned.
Right.
Well, it's not so much faster. It's I learned that a lot of times I was playing Talisman of Conviction, I wanted a blue one. I'd rather have the blue versus like the red or the white.
Oh, you're on
Typically,
both. Yeah.
so I was on all three of them at one point, and then I cut the Boros one
For
for
Felwar
Felwar Stone because Felwar Stone just gets me my blue. Like it's Exotic Orchard for the same mana cost,
That
but I
makes
don't also take damage. So I threw Felwar Stone in there. Have been loving it ever since.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a standard artifact package. Like you have
Yeah.
Grinding Station, you have D Grid, you have all, as you can see, like all the mana sources, and then you have the One Ring.
Grinding
For a
Station,
time,
Defense Grid, One Ring, mana.
mm-hmm. For a time, I mean, One Ring is One Ring. It's self-explanatory. For a time, I was running both the One Ring, Apple of Eden, and Goblin Welder, and Chromatic Star was like the package because you could do a fun thing where, if you're at a certain life total, you can, with the trigger of the One Ring, if I remember correctly, you can kill the One Ring before it resolves and take like the 0 life because of number of bird encounters that are on it. But I can't remember if it's like a memory thing, like how Sisei is. I forget. But there's an interaction you can do where like you can play Apple of Eden. Apple of Eden is literally like you sack it, pay for life, and you effectively look and exile target opponent's hand face down, and you can play those cards.
Yep.
For the rest of this turn.
And then they draw for everyone you cast.
So there was a fun interaction where like I was doing the One Ring, I drew a crap ton of cards, played my Apple didn't get countered, activated the Apple, grabbed somebody's hand, tapped the Welder to sack the One Ring to bring Apple back to the battlefield, pay 4 more life, grabbing another opponent's hand, and then effectively like, okay, I'm gonna play this like your D Grid or your Silence or your like you can't cast spells against me type of thing, like Veil of Summer, and then it just just went with it.
Yeah,
but
I like that. That's spicy.
But yeah, the list is self-explanatory.
Enchantments
are self-explanatory. I was playing
Down.
Copy Artifact for a hot minute, but realizing I'm really liking Dress Down more.
Okay.
Just because Dress Down stops so many things. Like, your opponent has a VV and they're on their 5th counter, or it's like VV trigger and it's going to put a 5th counter on it where they could probably like pop off or something. Cool, I'm just going to play this Dress Down real quick. Do you have anything? No? Sick. It's going to resolve. VV now only has 1/1 counters and no abilities. Okay, move to the next turn. Somebody removes the VV. Cool, awesome. You just did my job for me. I was going to use my swords in my hand, but I guess I'm going to use the swords or Sight Rift or Snap on something else.
Yeah. I like that. And lands, you're on 23. You talked about it before. Turbo
Yep.
deck. Surveil land, that's been cooking for you, right? Breach.
It's been cooking, yeah. You could even go up to 24 lands if you really want to. I was on 24 lands for Cool Stuff Con back in April, but I was also testing like Mysterized Village,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end of the day, like Mysterized Village just wasn't doing it for me.
Not for
Like
a
it's a
turbo
great,
deck.
powerful land.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great land, but the problem I was having with it was like I never found myself ever using the activated ability where like the next spell can't be countered type of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, it was cool in theory, but I'm glad I at least
Yeah.
like tested it out, you
Right.
know?
I feel like that card is like a context card. Like it doesn't go in every blue deck, but like the decks good in, it's really good
Hmm.
in, but it's not a staple by no means. If you're
Yeah.
on 23, 24 lands, you could enter tapped. You already have a surveil land. You're a
Hmm.
turbo deck. It's awkward, but like I've seen it in blue farm and Nas decks, and it's just like, yeah, I win. Right? It's
Hmm.
really strong. Let's talk about a couple notable cards that we're not in. We're talking about Grand Abolisher, Dockside's gone, all
Yeah,
this
one day
stuff.
Dockside will come back.
Yeah, one. Yeah,
Much to everybody's
that
hope.
that card's never coming back.
Honestly, I would be very surprised if Dockside ever came
I
back
think,
to
yeah,
Commander.
J Lo might come back,
Um,
but I think Dockside's gone. That was a mistake.
JLo and Mana Crypt have a better chance, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, for sure. It has a better chance for sure.
Hmm.
Let's talk about. Yeah, all this looks pretty good. Okay, let's scroll some. Let's do some. Yeah, time. Let's look at some primer.
Yeah, I got some time. We can
Okay.
do a bit of a dive on the primer and how extensive the dissertation is.
Okay, so this is freaking cool. Just like as a beginner looking at it, oh, okay, cool. You got
Mhm.
eighth, ninth, fourth, introduction. We don't have to read it all, but we just kind of
Yeah,
go history of the commander. Da, 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 da,
I also
yep,
include
kind of what we
some
talked
other like
about.
Doctor Who lists from people that I've interacted with. So I have a Doctor Who like deck list database server.
Oh.
It was made because my friend Scott, also known as TC900, um, they're huge into Doctor Who. So when the Doctor Who set was coming out, we were like, oh man, we could brew CDH, maybe some casualists or something like that. Let's, similar to how like Dargo has a server where you can do multiple different iterations of Dargo channels, like the Mardu version, the this, the that, the yada yada. I mimicked that layout for the Doctor Who one.
Hmm.
And so we did the same thing where in the Doctor Who server, you have access to like, you know, I'm going to be reformatting it soon to incorporate like more of a forum based thing. But originally we had it where like for the two color category was like Azorius, Simic, Rule, Izzet, Boros, Jameer, Rakdos. We just have it all going down.
Hmm.
And a couple friends that I've made in the server, both Five and Kev, or Huncho Pipe as listed in the primer. They all play. The two of them play 14 K9, which is a deck I've been kind of like messing around with a lot
Hmm.
lately because I don't know. It's kind of just like, hey, I've played K9 and Fugitive Doctor, and I've gotten a pretty good list with that one. I'm playing this War Dog list, religiously. And what can we do with K9 and 14? Well, K9 and 14 is like a food chain deck, so let's try and see if we can make a turbo deck with it. So I've been kind of messing with a turbo list and seeing like
Hmm.
if I like the turbo list that I'm playing, which I do, more than like a food chain list and seeing what I could do with that. But I put notable things there. I think I also have a link in the introduction to the the database Discord.
Hmm.
Um, I have like basically copy pasta to start things off with like the seven virtues of War Dog. They're something stupid. I found like a meme on like Facebook. I want to say like 8 months ago that I had titled like excerpt of from the Book of War Dog, which is like some guy wrote like this really weird poem, and then at the bottom of it just puts Magic Crap 517. Pretty sure probably meaning like May 17th was when they did the Magic Crap, so
Hmm.
kind of added that in there. And yeah, the primer is very, as you're scrolling through it, like it's very, for what I feel like is very detailed. Like,
Yeah.
we have there's a mulligan guide. I literally just took 10
Hmm.
random mulligans that I found in playtest hands on the little playtester underneath the list before you go into like playtester mode,
Hmm.
and screenshotted them, put them up, and did the similar layout of like Bryant Cook's Mulligan guide for Rogside, which is like, all right, hand one is seat one, hand two is seat two, hand three is seat three, and kind of went down that route and being like, hey, this is what your hand consists of. Is this a keep or is this a mull? Well, it's a keep because we have access to X, Y, and Z things, or it's
Right.
a
That's what
mull
I'm looking
because
at.
we,
Yep.
as you see in the
Turn
one where
two
it's got
Ristic
the,
study. Yeah.
yeah, as you see with that hand where it's got the crystal vein, I don't have crystal vein in the main list
That's fine.
anymore. But you
This
could
could be
also
City
re-add it
Traders.
to be your 20, yeah,
Yeah.
City of Traders, Ancient Tomb, like any soul land really
Mm-hmm.
helps in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You got a
you
bunch of
know,
lands in this
you would
one.
you would mulligan
Birdie.
this because you have only access to Bergie and Underworld Breach and a bunch of lands and
Yeah.
mana, and you're
Let's
like,
kind
it's
of
not going to get me anywhere.
let's kind of talk about mulligans while I'm scrolling through.
Yeah.
So are you just looking fast beep beep? How fast do I get breach? Or like you said, is it okay? I'm in C3. I'm in C4. I'm kind of reading this.
So how
There's a lot to take in for sure.
so I feel with mulligan guides, you kind of have to take with mulligans in general for like this deck specifically. My mentality when I go into mulligans is based on, okay, I have a pod that consists of at least at least one of the top 15 decks that are circulating tournament scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always envision that there's a blue farm at the table, or there's a rock side at the table, or there's a rock Thrasios.
Right.
So,
Kennen. Yeah.
a Kinnan, a Sisay, even like mid range Najila, let's say, right? Or Magda.
Mm-hmm.
My mentality is always, I'm in this pod, in this seat, and these other three decks are one of these top 15 decks that are seeing lots of play and getting a lot of notoriety.
Wow, look at that hand.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, that's like another playtest hand that I was just like, hey, we're just gonna put like all the mana there essentially.
Holy
with a transmute
shit.
interistic.
Yeah, that's a fucking win. Sorry, guys.
It's a Christmas hand. It's a Christmas hand.
Yeah.
And it's rare. I kind of might go back into the mulligan section, and I might replace the last two, like hand 9 and 10, with like a turn 1 guaranteed win or a turn 2 guaranteed win, because they do happen. Like, you just have to know what kind of hands to look for. And a lot of times I'm always looking for hands that are very like progressing my board state, but can also interact in some way, shape, or form. So as long as I have at least one counter spell and a bunch of things to progress my game plan in my hand, I mean, I'll keep that hand any day. Like for instance, yeah, for the one ring hand right here, like I would keep that hand because it
Snap keep.
gets it's a snap keep for like a Jessica's Will into a turn 2, one ring, to kind of keep that progress going.
Yeah, now the some Gibbons unbanned.
Yep.
Yeah, because you could be like, oh, okay, my backup is a one ring.
Yeah.
Or the ceiling is I get a gamble, grinding station, breach, any type of gets ungiven, and you know what I'm saying, like turn 2, like that's Jessica's Will was one of those cards for Rogsai. Like I've won turn 1 twice because of Jessica's Will. I'm just like Gemstones, land, Chromox, Jessica's Will, rip a gamble, rip a grinding station, win the game, and it's like whoa. Or in this hand, backup, oh, I whiffed one ring. Like, darn. Turn 2 one rings aren't bad, guys.
Yeah, turn 2 one rings aren't bad.
Like,
I've gotten turn 1 one rings too. Like, there was a hand I kept that had like, it was like both Pyretic and Desperate, plus a Rite of Flame, plus a land, plus one ring. And I was just like, all right, who's got the counter spell for this? Because I'm going to play this one ring. And they're like, no, you got it. I'm like, sick, awesome. My protection for a turn. I'm going to draw this card.
Next
cool,
turn,
awesome.
Draw 2.
Next turn, yeah.
Next turn, draw 3. It's over.
I don't think I won that game because I believe my draws from the one ring weren't great, but it was still like,
but you do it every time.
That's a great sequence, just to get it out there.
I love when I'm like, I really want to learn what this deck does, and it's like, oh, turn 1 one ring, I win this game. Okay, cool, next game. Okay, I drew 8 cards in 3 turns. All right, I win.
Yeah. And with how like we're doing tons and tons of like, we're in a card draw. Like, I wouldn't say issue, but we are in a card draw format where the best thing to do in this format is to draw cards. So like,
which exciting needs to get banned.
And we can agree to disagree on that one. Like, I don't care if it gets banned.
It just has no
That's where,
downside, and it's for
yeah, and
toxic
I agree with,
turns and toxic players. I
I
think that's really
agree, I
the only
agree.
card. Like Mr. Gamora, Esper Sentinel, blah blah blah. All of them are busted cards, right? But
Hmm.
there's downside. Ristic Studies no downside. So instead of making good play patterns and play the game, well, I'm gonna make a video about it.
We could,
I'm
yeah,
gonna do a
we could.
PowerPoint. Stay tuned.
We're gonna do a PowerPoint
I'm
presentation.
with
We're
you.
gonna
If
just put
they
it all
were,
on
I
socials.
feel better players, better things. But like, I had a game last night, just real quick, 2 minute tangent.
Yeah.
Game last night, guy was like, "Don't feed the Ristic Study. Don't feed the Ristic Study." Casts their Ristic Study, and then the guy last goes, "So you're telling me not to play the game so I don't give this
Hmm.
guy 2 cards? How
Yeah.
is that fair? I'm going last. Gives me 2 cards. I go for the win. He has a Ristic Study. I slam a defense grid. I pay for that guy's Ristic Study, and it was just so toxic. He was just like,
Hmm.
"See, you shouldn't have gave him 2 cards. You king maked him." And I was like,
Hmm.
"What? What is
Hmm.
happening right now?" Like,
Hmm.
it's just such a
Yep.
toxic card. It's just like, I'm gonna keep this turn 1 Ristic Study hand and blah 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 blah. It's just like, it's ugh. Like, it just makes
Yeah.
it. Anyways, I've been talking about that for 3 years, but we can
It,
agree
it
to
also,
disagree. Don't ban any cards. Just play no ban list. I don't care.
like,
Right?
it also, like, Ristic Study also brings out the worst in a lot of people,
Yeah.
but it's also the worst people that are playing Ristic Study that are also complaining about Ristic Study.
Right. Right. What's
So
the draw meta, right? It's the
yeah,
draw
it's,
meta because of Ristic Study, period. I'm gonna sit behind my Valley Flood Collar or my Ristic
well,
Study
so
and
that's where
blue
we're gonna
farm.
disagree. We're gonna disagree on that one because, like, we're in a draw we're in a draw state
Yeah.
of a meta because, and I mean, we've
It's
seen it
getting
with all these
better with the
tournaments
turbo
lately.
decks. It's getting better.
It's
But it's
getting,
still there.
because now it's literally the mentality is just jam wins. Like,
Yeah. No, I
I've
love it.
been preaching
It's
it
getting better for
for,
sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Shit.
I've been
Yeah.
preaching it for years. Like, just fucking win. Like,
Yeah.
just jam your
Well,
game, figure it
I don't
out.
want to, cause how many times have like I showed a pack of negation, no one went for it just because I have a pack of negation. I'm like, sweet, I just have a pack of negation. It's like, no,
Yeah,
motherfucker, jam. Like, fuck
yeah, and
you,
it's like,
cast that bitch.
and
Like, I don't
it's
want
one
to
of those
king make
things
the
of
next
like,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, Cal, Gold Saber Tooth's like, guy for like his Kickstarter stuff. He used to do a bunch of stuff for Playing with Power for a long time. Then he
Yeah, I
had
know
that
Cal. Yeah.
Herald's Horn and everything like that. Cool dude,
Cal's
great
cool.
person.
Yeah.
Uh, but he wrote it in an article like a few months back of like, just win. Like, you have 17 green lights. Why aren't you just going for it?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been like in the same mentality for a long time of like, I'm just going to go for it because it looks like I have a green light. And if I don't have a green light and I'm running the red light, well, let's see if I can like get past the cops on this one.
Yeah.
Just win your games. Like, stop politicking. You know, you don't have to politic every single card that's being cast.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to play
It
this land.
sounds
Oh,
good though.
he's got a Mysterized Village.
Yeah.
It means it's going to.
But you're talking to 100,000 people, right? Like, you're
yeah,
not
and
gonna
it's just like,
get to 100,000 people.
yeah, like we could go on an entire, you know, conversation or podcast of like
It's in the future.
my issues with
Yeah.
the format and like my issues with like the people in the format.
Right.
A lot of genuinely good people, but at the end of the day, it's like we're all very passionate about this format.
Right.
Why don't we just do the things that we say
Yeah.
we want to happen?
Like I said earlier, I had an argument with a guy about like king making for 5 minutes, and I was like, "Listen, brother, I know you don't know me from Adam, but instead of you, is a random guy on spell table.
Mhm.
Instead of you just leaving and we're both mad, let's talk about it." I was like, hindsight is 2020. I thought I had the mana to push. I read last year, Mr. Gamora, blah 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 blah, and he listened my side, and I listened to his side. I was like, you can't just be like, see, I told you that was a wrong play because of blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but that was 10 spells ago. I didn't know it was in your hand. Like, hindsight is always, people love doing that. See, I told you you shouldn't have done that. Right, but we both, like, said our point, and we both saw each other's side, and we both learned something. And then we went forward. We moved forward. Like, this guy, he tutored for a mirror maid. Copying my Ristic Study, and I was like, well, why would you just get your own Ristic Study? Like, we didn't have an argument, but we were just talking in the middle of the game, and he taught me something. Just because he was like, oh, well, what if later I flicker it and I get something else? Like, this is just way better than just having my Ristic Study. And I was like, dude, you're so right. Like, just me from asking questions. So we need to stop being scared of my ego, your ego, I'm right, you're wrong. Of, oh, okay, why do you feel that way? You feel that way because of this. Okay, this is why I feel that. Okay, let's move on. But that's the biggest problem with casual Commander is spite plays. oh, I don't like that commander because it looks
Mm-hmm.
funny and it killed me yesterday. I'm going to remove it. Right. So we're trying to get away from that casual like mindset of being like, no, 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 I'm going to hold this interaction for, but anyways,
Yeah.
we'll move forward. We'll talk about it all day. So
Yeah, definitely.
let's go into resources. We got a lot of
Yep.
videos. I'm just skimming through this. I really feel
Yeah.
like people take your time. I'll probably sleeve this deck up for sure. I'm gonna sleeve this and Tim Nadargo up and just play some games. But right now I'm practicing for
Yeah.
my tournament, so I've just been playing a lot of Terra. But
I feel
I'm
that.
gonna sit back from playing after this next tournament and really the next month or two like reevaluate all my decks. I have 10 decks. I'm gonna start cutting decks, adding decks, and really start learning.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So this is one of the.
Yeah.
So I said that to say, hey guys, let's look at this primer. Let's read this stuff. Watch every video you can. Watch it. Don't just, oh, I cut this card for that card because I know. Like
Mm-hmm.
talk. Like Chris will talk to you about it. Like
Yeah.
brother,
I'll definitely
you
talk
can
to you
play
about it.
Voice of Victory. That's fine, but don't fucking add displacement wave. That card sucks, right? Like
Like
we'll talk
I'll
about it.
tell you,
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I did what I did, or like what my choices
Card
were. I mean,
choices. Yeah.
I have an entire like section
Yeah. I'm doing
that's
that with
got just card choices.
I'm doing that with Terra
And
right now. It's a 5-color deck in a Discord. Nobody's gonna agree on a 5-color deck because you get
no, not at all.
50,000 cards. So people
Yeah.
are fighting, and I'm like, you don't have to fight. Like if you don't like Bergie, don't play Bergie. But the guy that made
Mm-hmm.
this deck is saying Bergie's good. Blah 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 blah. Right? So it's
But
like
yeah, like I have an entire section just
card
card
choices. Yeah, let's hit
choices,
it
and
up.
it literally tells you
Yeah,
everything. It
best
gives
cards in the
you
deck. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Let's just go over it. Um, yeah, ad nos. If this deck was in black, that'd be crazy.
oh my
Anyways,
god, if this deck was in black, it'd be stupid
like
crazy. Unfortunately,
Sans green, bro. Anyways,
we don't have any good black
talk
companions
about yeah, talk about
or
mana.
black aligned doctors.
Yeah, I love that he just talked about the mana. Like that's so gas. Yep. Talk
Yeah,
about the
mana
mana,
dorks, the rituals,
Yeah, everything that we talked about already.
removal, the
Yeah,
time
and
walks
for
that I
me,
play.
when I sleeve this deck up, I might cut 2 cards, maybe 3.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
go
about
for
it. I don't want people just to tear apart a deck like this. A, it's cooking, and B, you've put a lot of time in. So I'm
Yeah,
not taking more than 2, 3 cards just from preference out. 'Cause you've done the work. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I'm not
I've
going to
done a
shit
lot of
on
work.
your pile. The only thing I can think of is like Voice of Victory is the only card that I would play, right? So it's one card that I would change. So I want
Yeah.
people to take this list and do your own thing, but really hone in on this list and play it and see how it feels before you start ripping it apart. Because Chris has put his fucking time in. He's
put a lot of
talking
time
about
in.
Jessica's Will. Bitch, we know Jessica's Will good, but he tells you why it's so good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like
Mana
I tell you
dorks.
why it's
Yeah.
one of the best rituals in the deck. Like I give you a reason as
Yeah.
to why. K9. I think I make reference to like Seething Song or
Yeah.
even the Mind Goblin. With act on impulse tacked on type of thing.
Mhm.
Like, why? Like it's literally Jessica's Will is a sticker goblin with act
And you're
on
a Jess
impulse
guy.
combined.
Yeah.
You're in Jeskai.
The only
Like
reason you don't play Jessica's Will in some red decks is because either you're in a lot of colors, like a 5-color, 4-color deck, or you don't have a lot of red pips. This
Yeah.
deck just wins with red.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
I have 6 red mana. I win the game.
yeah. If you go back to I'll do it so you don't scroll out of the primer, but if you look at the list and you go all the way down to where like the breakdown is, red is the second like of all symbols represented color. And I have a lot of red rituals compared to blue, but I play a lot of like cards like permanent mana sources that give me the blue that I need to accommodate for the 43% of blue that's in the deck. Like 8% of my deck is white, 27% is red, and the red really does matter. Like you would think because
Yeah.
it's almost half of what blue is, not
Yeah,
it's almost half of what like blue's representation is, but like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like the red does matter. Like
Yeah.
making all that mana with Jessica's Will, making all that red mana with the other
and
rituals.
you're in a lot
just
of talismans, right? Your Felwar Stone talismans, One Ring. Like,
signets,
I doubt
all
you
that stuff,
ever
yeah.
like really whiff with Jessica's Will. Like, if you whiff and you hit a One Ring, that's not a whiff, guys. Like,
So it does happen because we are very blue heavy. If I don't have any blue mana like untapped to do things, and I flip into like a Risic Study or a Transmute Artifact or like any of the blue spells, and I can't like play them. That part sucks. Like there was a time where, and there's a couple times where I've done Jessica's Will, had 0 blue mana open, and flipped into a brain freeze and flipped into uh, like 2 lands. Well, I've already played my lands for that turn because what have you.
Yeah, it
But now I
happens.
can't cast this brain freeze because I don't have any blue.
Yeah, but
So
the
brain
ups.
freeze is
I
gone.
think
So
the
now you like go
upside.
back to the
Yeah.
yeah. Then you go back to the grinding station play and go from there. But like it can happen.
Yeah, but the upside way overweighs the downside in this
But now with
deck.
Vivi makes the blue that we're missing.
Right. Yeah. So Manadorks interaction.
I talk about all the
Yeah,
interaction.
you play the good ones. You play Silence, Defense Grid. You can play Voice Victory. Why play Defense Grid, not Ground Polisher? Yeah, my 5-color deck, it's just so much better. White is so rough.
Yeah.
The double pip thing, I'm so with you. Fierce Guard, Mindbreak Trap,
Mm-hmm.
Removal, Chain Snap, Football. Yep. Time Walks. Final Fortune. Yeah, tell me a little bit. I like Final Fortune in this deck, but why are you on Final and Last Chance? Because you're not really
Redundancy.
Necro or
It's there's nothing there's no wrong there's no wrong answer to it, but essentially the reason is for the redundancy.
okay.
Like let's say I have because actually I played a game where this was relevant. So I had Last Chance and Final Fortune in hand, and I had enough mana to where I could do both of them if the Last Chance gets countered, right?
Yeah. Okay, that makes
So
sense.
I play the Last Chance first because it's sorcery speed. If the opponent wants to try and interact and kill the Last Chance, I just Final Fortune on top of it, or that kind of nature. But it's just more so the redundancy of it. Like there are times where like, oh man, I could really use Time Walk, draw into one of the 2 or 3 Time Walks I'm playing at that moment. Like
Yeah.
I had Warrior's Oath in there as well, but it's kind of just like the difference between Last Chance and Warrior's Oath is literally nothing. Like I'm on 2 Time Walks, Final Fortune, and one of the other two. If you like
Yeah.
Warrior's Oath, play Warrior's Oath. If you like Last Chance, play Last Chance.
It doesn't matter
I
though, right? It's the same thing.
I kept Last Chance because there is a old border version of Last Chance.
They
So
do the exact same
and
thing.
as, if you look at the deck list visually, like the goal is to be like old border framed. Like I don't care about the foils, but like just like make it as old border as possible. So if I want to get the Warrior's Oath from the original portal that it was
It's
in, I
$4
forget if it was
trillion.
Portal 3 or
Yeah.
2 or 1,
Yeah.
but it's like I think the retail on it was like about $100 something dollars, or I just pay like a couple bucks and get the retro Last Chance.
Yeah.
I'll just do that.
So it's
I played both of them, and I own that version of Warrior's Oath that you're highlighting over. So like that's how I was. I have the cards. It's just
No, I look at
I want to
the
make it
flavor
old.
text. This flavor text is crazy.
Yeah.
I swear this before all gods old and new. I will fight to my last breath. Last Chance is like, yeah, whatever. I only had time to read half the spell, but I'm pretty sure this will work.
Fun fact for anybody that doesn't know: if you like Loading Ready Run, Graham and his wife, Kat,
Yeah.
they actually get commissioned to do a lot of flavor texts.
Oh, cool.
So Wizards will reach out to them saying, hey, would you like to do some of these flavor texts? They'll say yes or no or something like that, and they'll like submit some of the flavor texts. And I feel like the Warrior's Oath one had to have been from like either Graham or his wife, because it feels like them. I could be way off and wrong, but like
I agree.
It's pretty cool that like WotC does that, and I kind of would love to have kind of like a working relationship with Wizards on that regard. Like, oh yeah, I'd love to like come in and like be outsourced to do some like weird dumb nonsense. Only if I was cool enough.
Only if I was cool enough. Yep. Tutors, talk about Muddle. Now, your typical counterspell, Muddle makes your primarily the deck. Tutor for Breach, goes in your hand, win the game. Sometimes defense card drag station, 90 speed start. Yep, we talked about all this. Payoffs. Yep, Born Valley, really good. Wheels. Yeah, the wheels, I don't know. Wheels are just in a weird spot right now, right? Like,
they've always been in a weird spot. That's why I keep saying bring back Hull Breacher. I was fine with Hull Breacher when it was legal, but I was also playing Winota back then. And
how does Will of the Jeskai feel for you? I was on it and I cut it. It was just so rough.
I have to say, I absolutely love the card.
Yeah.
I love the fact that essentially it's not a Wheel of Misfortune. because Wheel of Misfortune is always like that weird.
Damn it.
There's a you have to pick a number secretly and you have to reveal the number,
Damn it.
and then it's always the
Yeah.
confusion of like, well, do I get to draw? Do you get to draw? Here it's literally clean cut templating of, if I choose the top half says each player may discard their hand and draw 5 cards. The
Mm-hmm.
second half is Past in Flames without the the flashback alternate cost on the card.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I like it as essentially that, where it is Past in Flames with a wheel tacked on. There is a wheel that does pitch and draw 5 cards, but I forget which wheel that is. I think it is a 4 mana wheel too. But
Mm-hmm.
effectively or essentially, that's the point of Will the Jessica, and I really love that card.
Okay. What about?
Especially like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm like Jessica's Will, and Jessica's Will gets me Will the Jessica in
Oh
exile.
yeah, you're
I had the
cooking.
pips. I'm just gonna cast at that point, and then just keep free rolling from there.
Yeah, I like that. What about the what? I feel like in this deck would be the 1 mana draw 3, discard at random or whatever that is. Wouldn't that be good in this deck?
Draw through. Are you talking about Burning Inquiry?
Yeah, it's 1 mana, draw 3. Everybody draws 3. Everybody discards 3.
So I like Burning Inquiry, Control the Court, and the Goblin Lore like style effects where you draw a crap ton of cards and then discard
Yeah,
at
yeah.
random. They're really cool cards. The problem with those cards, especially Burning Inquiry, is Burning Inquiry can draw each of your opponent's 3 cards, which could draw them either into interaction or the things they need to
Right.
like
Yeah.
win the game or progress their game plan a
So
little
you'd
bit
rather
more.
just wheel. Okay.
I'd rather wheel and not like leave it to chance, because at the end of the day they're going to get the cards anyway, so you might as well just wheel it.
I got you. I got
And
you. That makes
you
sense.
know, a turn 1 wheel is way better than like a turn 5 wheel without any kind of backup whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, we talked about Thassa, breach lines. Oh yeah, so that's the main way to win, right? Just breach Thassa,
pretty
and
much,
then
yeah,
your
it's
backup
it's the
win is
main,
like brain freeze most of your deck, and then brain freeze them and Wheel of Fortune,
essentially, yeah.
VV, right? You never want to just brain freeze and pass. That's like
Yeah,
thing,
I
thing of the
haven't
past.
I haven't updated this to include VV yet, because I'm still,
Still
in all
test
honesty,
it.
I'm
You're
still
still
like
testing it.
testing
Yeah,
VV.
yeah,
I mean, like I usually give myself a minimum of a month to test new cards, and then essentially like if everything works well, then the list is just going to stay
just
that
yeah.
way for a
Just
while.
because it's 100 cards, right? There's gonna be 5
It
games where you
is.
don't even see VV.
Yeah, like when
Yeah.
I so for Cool Stuff Con, I let's because we're gonna basically skip over to the change log at some point.
Yeah.
But for CS Con, I swapped out like 6 cards and put in like, so I took out Goblin Welder, Apple of Eden, Wheel of Misfortune, Copy Enchantment, Into the Floodmaw, Crystal Vein, put in Malevolent Hermit, Mysterized Village, Days Undoing, Dress Down, Snap, Marsh Flats. I re-added Marsh Flats after taking it out. The entire time I was at that event, I never saw, or I never got to use Mysterized Village for its ability,
Mm-hmm.
and I never saw. Yeah, that was the only issue, was I never like had that happen. And then when I updated to include Vivi for the June tournament over at Sky High, I never saw Vivi the entire day, and I added Vivi like the night before.
Yeah, and you thought you were like doing this crazy thing, and
I thought
Vivi's
like,
gonna be
yeah,
crazy, and then you don't
I
see it, and you're
thought,
like, all
yeah.
right.
At the entire weekend, I never saw Vivi. I saw
Yeah.
Raoul 3 times, and I ended up stacking Raoul to Flare of Duplication like twice.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon's Rage Channeler I saw in every game. It was just one of
Yeah.
those things of like, I only see VV when VV wants to be present itself,
Yeah,
essentially.
I've done that so many times where like the night before you're like 2 hours in your brain of, I'll cut
Mm-hmm,
beseech the mirror for this. This is the
mm-hmm.
deck. I'm gonna win the tournament because of it. And you're like, yeah, I played 8 games and haven't seen it once.
Yep, that does happen. And then the real estate section for the card choices is pretty straightforward and simple.
Mm-hmm.
I break down like what fetch lands are.
Yeah, I kind
Uh,
of skimmed through that. The lands. This is
there's a
really
bullet point
beginner friendly.
for, as players have seen, like I'm playing Brainstorm. I am a legacy player, like a veteran legacy player, so I've played legacy for several years before like diving really deep into Commander, and essentially I put the bullet point for Brainstorm
Yeah, you don't have.
literally on your main phase. You
Mhm.
just play Brainstorm, put 2 cards you don't want on top, and then you just fetch to shuffle the library,
Yep.
and everything is great.
You don't have card advantage in Command Zone, so get pro
Yeah,
Rainstorm's good. Yep.
I break down what the ABU dual lands are.
Starting
I break down what
town.
shock lands are. I
Yep. This is
talk about the
very
rainbow
beginner
lands.
friendly. Yep. Very beginner friendly. I love this.
I'm very like
Sacred
hands on
Chambers.
with that type of stuff, and like
Yeah.
especially with my work. Like my work that I do is I'm a graphic and web designer, and well, we'll say multimedia because I work in video too. But essentially, like whenever I'm going out of town or out of office for like vacation, I usually end up leaving like, especially my last job, I had like a 3-page documentation about like how to do certain processes, and it was all broken down very cleanly to where my coworkers, after every time I went on vacation, would be like, "You can't ever go on vacation again." Like your documentation was very clean. It held my hand every step of the way through. Like I was able to do what you do in a given day. You know, like successfully. But the fact that like I'm also the type of employee where I can just crank out so much work in a short period of time, it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So like my coworkers aren't used to that type of workload on top of like
Yeah.
some responsibilities I had.
Mm-hmm.
So, but essentially, like I break everything down. I try to make it as easy and friendly and digestible as possible. It's a lot to read, but like
It's a great
good news
primer. It's
is
great.
I put different sections in just so that like if you really wanted to like look at the mulligan guide, perfect. You can look at all 10 test hands. If you want to see how it's played, you can go through all the different sections there. If you just want to see the change log, just click the change log and take it all the way down. You'll see everything up to literally April 8th of 2024, which is when I turned this into a turbo list.
Yeah.
And again, as a graphic web designer, you see how everything's like broken down by different like graphics to segment everything. So I poured a lot of time, effort, and energy into it just to help new players. If there's anybody that ever like was interested in the list, but there's a few that I think there was one that commented on your video uh, last week when it went live saying, "Oh yeah, I'm one of the ones I play it too, and it's a great list, yada yada." Um, the goal is to do that is to like help them out. Like I get contacted a lot of times from people like either in servers or in DMs like, "Hey, I like your list. Can you send it to me? What are we going for?" And it's just a fun like
It's like
discussion.
your favorite thing.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I love talking about
You've
this thing
never
because
not
it's like,
answered any question. You're like, oh, come to
yeah,
my office. This is what I want.
yeah, it's like, all right, let's sit down, let's get the chalkboard out, and I'm gonna like do a Charlie Day thing where I've got red tape everywhere. Like you go here, you go here, you go here. But yeah, the deck is super fun. I'm a brewer at heart, and it was just one of those things of like, let's see what we could do. Like, is this innovative or is it just kind of like slop? And I don't know. It feels like it's innovative to me just because like nobody else was doing it, and to this day nobody else is doing it.
Yeah.
You have people who are tinkerers.
Mm-hmm.
So you have people like, let's say, for instance, not to diss anybody, but I'm pretty sure it's Logan from Critical EDH who's the one that's like championing the whole wrong side thing, or at least like publicly championing it. That's more like a tinker. It's not really like doing something new from the ground up. It's taking Rogsai, doing a twist with it, with like Aura
You're
Thief
the
and whatever else
canine
they're
guy.
doing,
Like,
and
yeah.
you're kind of like tinkering it to do something else, and it's successful. It's doing its thing, so you can't knock it, right? But my whole thing is like, yeah, I was introduced to Canine, and I was introduced to War Doctor from a set that I have no like background with, like Doctor Who. I started watching Doctor Who because of the set. It's a very fun, campy series. It's got a lot of things for kids and adults of all ages. New and old, like viewers of all ages. But at the end of the day, it was like I was there for like Fallout, Doctor Who, even Final Fantasy. Like I've only played FF14 for like maybe 2 months, and then I just haven't touched the game since.
Right.
Haven't played any other Final Fantasy games. I've played Kingdom Hearts through and through, so like I know of the Final Fantasy 7 and 8 characters they've introduced through those games. But outside of that, like I just look at these things as game pieces, and these are great game pieces.
Yeah.
CDH is like, as a brewer, we could do so much with it, and so that's why like I brew a lot. My co-host Misha, he plays Black Panther, a very fun like creature combo centric Black Panther list that I think is just slept on. Like the deck that he's playing is really good, and I think the concept is great. and I want to take time. Like after I move to North Carolina, I want to take time to kind of just like look at his deck, Goldfish's deck, probably play his deck at like some local LGS stuff just to kind of like get a feel of it, and then start playing it in tournaments because like I feel like the deck is good. It's one of those things of like not only is Brewer's Advantage a good thing, but Brewer's Advantage kind of also bites too with like other players because if you want to pick up a new deck because you think it looks cool, you're like, well, now that's when you start getting questions of like, or I start getting questions of like, well, how's this deck win? What hands do we want to keep? Then you start talking with people like that. So that's why I think primers are great because primers can help break those things down if you write it eloquently enough.
Yeah, I need to
So I
hire
want
you.
to try.
I want a primer.
Yeah, I want to try Black Panther. Dano, my co-host Dano, like bless his heart. Like it was like last year around I think wintertime or something like that. Right around the time when Assassin's Creed came out, we were just like joking around. I was like, I saw rumblings on the internet about an Ezio dredge list, and I was like, nobody has shown a list or anything like that. Let's see what happens. I'm trying to like do something. I'm having like brain fog. Dano is always wanting to brew, always wanting to just like
Push
stretch
the
that creative
envelope.
muscle,
Yeah.
and he's like, give me a deck. What should the theme be? I was like, do Ezio Manaless Dredge. He's like, bet. I have experience in Legacy and Vintage. I know exactly the assignment. Let's get it going. Played the Ezio list. Realized didn't like the Ezio list because he didn't really need the white. So he cut the white, and now he's playing Vile Smasher Thrasios as a Manaless Dredge list. And every time we play against that deck, it either gets us or we get it. And it's kind of just like been very, push and pull. It's never been like he played this list. It's only gotten like a couple wins, and then he just keeps playing because he likes the concept. No, it's like he's also played it in person, and it's getting people, and it's a great concept. Like once you get the balustrade spy, you have all this other stuff. Now that we have new tools coming in, like he's looking at stuff that was introduced in the most recent like couple sets that just make the deck more resilient in all honesty or better. So but like we love brewing, and that's one thing that we feel is kind of a big deterrent for a lot of new CDH players is like you want to get into CDH, but you see all these decks that are doing well in tournaments, and people are always pushing people to those decks. Well, what if you don't like those decks? Well, we over at TNC, we brew a lot of stuff, and we think you can. You could probably take your what is it? That new Edge of Eternity's Boros character, Sammy, ship captain or shipwreck captain or something like that does like gives all your stuff affinity to artifacts. You could easily do something with that. You can make a casual deck with that and then turn it into a CDH list, whether Jewel Lotus is legal or not in the format. I feel if Jewel Lotus comes back into the format, Sammy just gets so much better because you just play a weird Boros affinity list similar to like Modern Days or something and just pop off,
Yeah, JLo comes back. It's going to open up the format. It's going to be wide open again. Shadow becomes insane.
I mean, and honestly, like Shadow's cool, but Shadow's actually not as insane as I thought he'd be, and it's only because of my Dargo Timna player Harrison. Like he's playing it and all that stuff, but like Shadow's weird, right? Yeah. Shadow does a good, cool thing, but you can't really do the dual caster lines that the Dargo Timna players are starting to do now because like the way Shadow's worded.
Well, you can do it with dual caster mage, but it's already a creature.
You can. The problem that you can, but here's the problem: because the second you cast the Twin Flame or the Molten Duplication or that new X Red spell that they're looking to possibly try out, the Devastating whatever, if you cast that using artifact mana, it has split second. You can't dual caster on top of that now.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is you could still cast Twin Flame regular and then and make your dual caster mage counterable, but your Twin Flame is still counterable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you put J-Lo back in the format, Shadow becomes that much better. Because the awkwardness with that deck, as a commander, you can't turbo when turn 2 cast my double pip 4-mana commander and win the same turn. So now they're doing a little slower stuff. So you have stuff like J-Lo to kind of speed it up a little bit. Looks fine. But yeah, I agree. I think that the deck's good, but it's not like the end-all be-all, right? But
yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about? I mean, I got to feed some children. I think we went over the deck pretty good.
Yeah,
I think your primer is amazing for beginners.
appreciate it.
I definitely think pick up this deck, play the deck, don't fuck with it, play it, see how it feels. I definitely think also like Edge Eternity's coming out pretty soon, and I feel like every set there's a new CDH card almost. So I
Oh, we
feel
could
like
talk
for
about that stuff.
CDH,
Like,
it's just gonna keep going up. So it's like, oh cool, Gifts Ungiven's unbanned. Okay, what about next year? What's gonna get unbanned or what's gonna get banned? Risk Study gets banned. That's gonna be a big thing. What if Timna gets banned that they're talking about? What if this happens? What if a new card gets printed for
mm,
K9? Like, I think the deck is still going up, and I think the meta is in a good spot right now. So, was there
yeah,
anything else you wanted to say or add?
yeah. So speaking of Edge Eternities, I actually completely forgot about this. So new Tezzeret, you could probably try it out.
Mm.
I'm not gonna do it because I'd rather spend 3 mana on something else. But there is some cool stuff that you can do in other slots, like Synthesizer Lab Ship, which is the one blue pip artifact spacecraft that has station, but essentially for the 2+ at the beginning of combat on your turn, when it has 2 charge counters on it, up to one other target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 2 or 2/2 and gains flying until end of turn. So you can essentially like turn your Esper Sentinel or your Canine into a flyer if, let's say, for instance, your Mockingbird's Timna or something of that nature, and you can just kind of like go from there.
Hmm.
There's also a Vendo Brush Razor, which is a 2 and a red from the Jeskai Commander deck. Whenever you sacrifice a non-token permanent, exile top card of your library.
Hmm.
During your turn, as long as you've sacrificed a non-token permanent this turn, you may play cards exiled with this
With this
creature,
creature, yeah.
and then tap, sack a land, add 2 red. So that's a ritual right there. It doesn't have haste, but like you play it on like turn 1 or 2, you can kind of set up a little bit. And sacking non-token things is easy. There's also the bicycle Boros land. I might run that over Sacred Foundry just because Sacred Foundry is like the worst dual land out of the entire list.
Mm-hmm.
And having something like that, either, I mean, you could switch to a Surveil land if you want to, but at the end of the day, it's like I'd rather put it into the yard for a cycle 2 to draw a card and see what happens leading into my next turn. Then there's also Pinnacle Emissary, which is interesting. It's got Warp of Hybrid Izzet.
Mm.
Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless drone artifact creature token with flying, and this token can block only creatures with flying. We're 20 artifacts effectively. This also being an artifact creature, it's 3 mana to start off with, but if you do like a turn 1 Pinnacle Emissary into Mana Rocks and K9, you now have a bunch of drones that you can just like start doing things with. And then on turn 2, you play your Grinding Station. Well, with the Grinding Station trigger, you just sack one of the drones if you need to, mill
Mm.
yourself 3 cards, and you can
Okay.
kind of like do other things. So I'm looking at the Pinnacle Emissary, I'm looking at the Esteli Reclaimer, I'm looking at the Glittering Massive Cycle Land, I'm looking at a Vendo Brush Razor, and I'm looking at Synthesizer Lab Ship. Whether those cards end up being good, probably not. We'll see. But
And the other one we talked about, the 5 mana
yeah,
Serines.
yeah, the Stellar Reclaimer,
Stellar Reclaimer, yeah.
and honestly, yeah, like those are stuff I'm looking at from Edge, and I think Edge didn't give like CDH a whole bunch of things. It gave us some things. Like I'm looking at Tanuk, or Tanic, however you pronounce it, the thing that gives your artifacts and red creatures warp of 2 red.
Mm-hmm.
Dano and I are like brewing 2 separate lists, but essentially, like my thing is you warp in Eldrazi because you can play Painter Servant.
Mm.
Painter Servant, choose red. All of your Eldrazi are red. Now, because warp is a cast trigger, you're warping in a Ulamog for 3. Any of the 3 Ulamogs is whatever you want.
Mm.
Any of the Kozileks, any of the Emrakuls that you want that are legal, and you can just start popping off with it, not just doing like Light Seal stuff. You can also do like for 2 and a red, Portal to Phyrexia.
Mm.
You can do all sorts of weird stuff. So we've been chatting about stuff and kind of like talking about some other like hidden fun tech that we were looking at.
Yeah.
But Edge is going to be good. I'm super stoked for it. On that note, you can pretty much we'll just close it out. You can find me anywhere. Like I'm on Instagram under my name Chris Glade. It's a private personal account, but if you send me a friend request, I'm more likely like accept the follow or something like that, even though I have to like make sure you're a real person.
Yeah, make sure you're not a robot.
I'm usually the one that does a lot of the posting on the That's Not CDH social accounts. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Blue Sky, both as Godzilla Big. You can find me on
Discord.
Facebook,
You're
like
really active in
Discord has
Discord.
got. I think my Discord, you can find me as Glade. I don't know if my handle is Godzilla Big or not. I think it is, but
Yeah,
you
I think
can
it's
find me.
Glade. Yeah.
But you can find me pretty much anywhere, haunting a lot of stuff and things.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, just yipping and yapping and borking about Commander and CDH and Magic in general, and hoping Wizards will give me like a preview card at some point, or do another like ambassador program thing with them again, because that was super fun.
That'd be really cool.
But
And
yeah,
and I have a spicy deck. I'm ready to go on your channel one day.
hey,
This is like no one's ever seen it before. No one's gonna know what's going on, and I'm gonna lose. But you can say you played against it.
yeah, because I'm starting to get more into video editing for the channel. I'm finalizing the MagicCon Chicago video
Cool.
that I played with Dead on Board and two other content creators,
That's so
and
sick.
then we just had Hummingbird Altars on like 2 weeks ago with Yoshi Thras, and because the games were like super quick for the first two, we're gonna just turn those into videos and throw those up into like YouTube and everything like
Cool.
that.
Yeah,
So
he's coming to my he's gonna be my vendor at my next tournament.
he's a really cool dude. I didn't
August
realize
2nd.
like he
He's in
was
Tampa.
so close to us.
He's in Tampa or St. Petersburg or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
realize he was like in that
He
area.
did my
and he's like,
Tevish
oh, yeah.
altar, and then he's gonna do my Terra altar, and I was like, dude,
Mhm.
just come to my tournament. He's like, all right.
So I won't be able to make your tournament, unfortunately. I'm gonna stay closer to the East Coast and go up to Punt Win Repeats August event. But I'm also gonna be at Steel City. I'm working Steel City as a scorekeeper. So if you just see me, come say hi. We can chat a little bit. But I'll be working, so I can't really chat all the time. And then at the end of the month, I'm looking to go to SCG-Con Orlando to go participate in their 5K. So you'll more than likely see my list playing A Day's Undoing. And if you see Kanan and the War Doctor, that's me.
Yeah, I can just let you borrow a Time Twister. I think it's not that big a deal.
I mean, if you have the Time Twister, I would love to borrow a Time Twister. Like, if a friend of mine...
Like, that shit's hot.
Days is hot because and it makes you have to work a little bit harder to get the effective Days Undoing and do the thing. But other than that, it's a cleaner budget option, in my honest opinion, a Time Twister. Caveat is if you cast on your turn, ends the turn, that sucks. But at the end of the day, you don't really care on turns 1 and 2 because
exactly. Yeah,
if you're going for a slower game plan.
Yeah,
if you're going on a slower game plan, if you have a slower hand, you don't really care about turn 1 and 2, so you can just play it early. But if you're doing a later turn, that's when things get kind of weird. But yeah.
Cool. So we're going to wrap it up. We got about 3.5 hours into this guy.
Pretty much.
People sleeve it up. This deck's fucking awesome. If you win the tournament, he's going to be back here for part 3. Like,
pretty much.
I told you guys.
I told you. We're getting close. If you look at the accolades section, I'm getting really close to winning something.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go to Orlando. SCG-Con, I might. And I'll probably see you there, but that'd be pretty cool. But
yeah, because some people are going to SCG-Con Orlando because it's close. Others are looking to go to. It's the end of the month, so it's August 29th to the 31st. But some people are going to that, and then others who don't have proxyless decks are looking to go up to CCS for the Appalachian Gaming 10K.
Yeah.
And then
go to MagicCon Atlanta. That's gonna be fun. I'm gonna try to.
Yeah, I would love to go to MagicCon Atlanta, but the problem I'm having is I've been to Atlanta so many times for many things. Atlanta's kind of a boring location for me to go to a MagicCon. Yeah. I've gone to Vegas. Vegas is fine. The only one I'm really excited for next year is literally Amsterdam, because I've been to the Amsterdam MagicCon last year, and I would love to go back again. I've been to Vegas enough times. It's just the same thing. Except it's just more expensive of plane travel for a lot of places.
Right. Yeah.
And I like Chicago because my crew is in Chicago. My stream co-hosts are in Chicago, so we could always try and get in early and do a recording thing. So
recording, yeah. That's cool, man. But
so
that's another one in the books. Thank you so much for your time.
Yep,
Chris.
always, anytime.
Goat, hit him up. I'm gonna put all the stuff down below. August 2nd, we have another tournament coming up, so come to that. Slam the like button, subscribe. We're out of here. See ya.